Get ready for a powerhouse of inspiration. Principal Kafele, a highly regarded educator and a transformational leader, Principal Kafele has spent over 20 years in New Jersey's urban schools, making a lasting impact as both a master teacher and a turnaround principal. Under his leadership, the mighty Newark Tech transformed from a low-performing school to one of America's best, as recognized by U.S. News and World Report 3 times. A recipient of the prestigious Milken Educator Award, Principal Kafele is one of the most sought-after voices in school leadership and equity. He's delivered over 3,000 keynotes, workshops, and seminars across the nation, authored 13 books, including 7 ASCD bestsellers, and continues to empower leaders through his live-streamed AP and New Principals Academy. Please join us in welcoming the extraordinary Principal Kafele.
And we are live. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to week 303 consecutively of the AP and New Principals Academy. Let me see who we got checking in this morning. We got AP Patrick Lawrence out in Connecticut. We got where we at? Mona Obermolak is in Orlando, Florida. We got Nadira Coley right here in Newark, New Jersey. We got Yolanda McKinney in Texas. Ronald Pugh, Cedar Hill, Texas. Dr. Rachel Edo Eckett, President, Maryland Association of Elementary School Principals in Maryland. She spent a lot of time in D.C. the past week or so, and fighting the good fight for education, particularly leadership in education in America, particularly within today's climate. We got Chancellor Davis, Las Vegas, Nevada. We got J.C. Hema. He said, my people, my mentors, East Orange. That's E.O., New Jersey. The city I wear on my sleeve, I might add. We got Dr. Robin Snowden, Harambe. She's out in Fresno, California. We got Fatima Nelson, Pennsylvania. Lysandra Brackens is down in North Carolina. Dr. Rella Hicks is in Augusta, Georgia. Grace Castaneda is in Kyle, Texas. We got, let me try to do this right, Veloam, 13, Jersey, in the building. Dominique Clapp, hope I did that right, San Marcos, Texas. Deborah Melton Brown, she said, good morning. Marsha Poe, San Diego, always grateful when the folks out west see it not robbery, as they say in the Baptist church, and get on up early and lock in with us. We got Dr. Garcia Edu. He said, good morning. Oh, that's Edwin. Hey, Doc, Edwin Garcia. See, that's your YouTube name. Them YouTube names get me all messed up, man. Good to see you. Good to see you. Principal Otis Kitchen II out in Tampa, Florida. I see you Monday right here in Jersey, South Orange, New Jersey, at the Nurturing Greatness Conference. We got Vanessa Zeskin, Connecticut. Getting ready to give you that PhD, Doc. We got Stacy Joy in the building out in Los Angeles, California. We got Alicia. Oh, man, I can't see this. Alicia A. Scott, I think it is, in Olive Branch, Mississippi. LaKenya Rowland, New Jersey. Dr. Melissa Jones Chunu is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I think we got it confirmed, Doc, that I'll be out there later in the fall next year with Elaine Buxton. I think it's the fall. Might be, yeah, it's October. That's what it is. Where we at? 4AZ Teach, Arizona. We appreciate you being here. Lynette Wilson in North Carolina. I'm getting ready to shut it down, y'all. We got a lot to talk about today. We got Sharon Rivers, Miami, Florida. Where we at? Takesha High is in Virginia. Adrian Young is in Newport News, Virginia. I got one of my guests next week is from Newport News. You probably know her, Tara Harris. She'll be in the building. Where we at? I'm getting ready to shut it down. John Herricks, I see you. I'm shut it down with, I see Dr. Chike Houston. Dr. Tammy Taylor is probably not too far behind, but let me close it out with the queen of the castle. Kimberly Broughton Kafele is in the building. Let's shut it down there. Let me say to everybody formally now, good morning, greetings, and once again, welcome to week 303. 303 what? Consecutively, baby. We ain't missed a week yet of the AP and New Principals Academy. Hey, y'all, same question every week all these weeks. How y'all feeling, man? How you feel? Right? How do you feel emotionally? How do you feel mentally? How do you feel physically? How you feeling? I'm tired. You know how the flight guys do me. You know, those of you that keep up with me on social media, you know how them flight guys be getting me, man. I'm ready to get home last night, and the flight guy said, nope, we're going to delay the first flight, and you're going to miss the second flight. So now figure it out, buddy. Right? So I did. I found a flight in Delta. Cost $300 more than the original flight. But God is good, man. He going to bless me, man. So I got home, and here I am. So my eyes looking a little more slanted than normal. I'm a little tired, but I'm in the building. Hey, y'all, how you feeling, though? You know, I try not to get into them national politics, man, and I'm not going to, but it be a lot of stuff happening every week, man. I ain't never watched CNN like this. Never. Man, I don't care about that, man. I got other things to do. I'm tuning in like every hour. What did he do now? What he say now? Right? That's probably the game anyway. But I'm an ESPN guy, man. I'm missing my sports to see what this I was getting ready to use the bad word, to see what he's saying. Right? So, but anyway, let's move on. Hey, y'all. Every week, what were your wins last week? What were your wins? Because it's so easy to get caught up into the challenges and the obstacles, the pressures, the demands, and forget that I was winning all week long, right? So again, what were your wins? Drop them in the chat for me. I read those. Drop them in the chat. What were your wins? But secondly, as always, what will you do next week to take your leadership to another level? Right? What will you do next week to take your leadership to a new level? Right? Let's go, y'all. I got these announcements, man, in my monologue, and then we're gonna bring up these three superstars. First, shout out to my son, my oldest son. He's sitting right here. Baruti Libre Kafele. It's really longer, but we give you the short, condensed version. Baruti Libre Kafele. If you've been on Facebook and the other platforms, matter of fact, about 3,500 people on Facebook congratulated him. He got his master's degree in political science from Rutgers University. So I'm proud of him for that. And he's sitting here. So he just gave the peace to everybody. So give him some love in the chat, y'all. Let him know that he worked hard for that degree too. And now it's on to the PhD, trying to figure out where it's going to be. But that's what he's trying to do. And he'd probably be that college professor somewhere on the planet. That doesn't have to necessarily be in America, could be anywhere. But that's what he does. So shout out to Baruti Jr. Shout out to the North American division of the Seventh-day Adventist Conference. I was at their annual conference in Houston this week. I keynoted it. I was opening keynote, and it was funny because Seventh-day Adventist. I don't have background there, so I thought it was going to be like a real solemn type mood, and I just get up there and I kind of speak like this. But as I was speaking, the people started saying amen and and all that kind of stuff. I said, oh, it's like that here? All right, well, let me just be me. And then they started cheering. I said, okay, right. So we had a good time in that space, man. And then the breakout session was standing room only, and it was just a good 2 days with them. And then I flew on over to Little Rock, Arkansas, and spoke at Premier High School. So shout out to the staff of Premier High School. It was 2 schools in one. They both go by the name of Premier. They're a charter school, but they're on the campus of Arkansas Baptist. Oh man, there's a C there, and I can't remember what that C stands for, but it's an HBCU, right? And we just had a great day. But anytime I'm in Little Rock, I have to go to Little Rock Central High School, right? I got to go and stand on those grounds. I got to go walk those steps. I got to go stand at that front door. But we're going to talk a little bit about that in the monologue. So let me not say anything further about that. Welcome to the first timers. But if this is, in fact, your first time, that means you've missed 302 sessions. But the beauty is you can still see them because they're all on YouTube. Just go to the AP New Principals Academy, AP and New Principals Academy YouTube channel. There are 24,800 members or subscribers of that channel. So if you can do me a favor, if you're new and you haven't subscribed to that channel, or if you're old and you haven't subscribed to that channel, I think we need 10 more to hit 24,900. Do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button on the AP New Principals Academy YouTube channel, right? 24,890, I think, is the number that we're at right now. So take care of that for me, and I appreciate it. Real quick, y'all, because I got to get to this monologue, but let me put this up here. If you don't have your copy yet of What is My Value instructionally to the teachers I supervise, my question is, what are you waiting for, man? You know, this is the most important book I've ever written. It's the most important book I will ever write, right? Because it's the book on instructional leadership. And as far as leadership is concerned, the most important, the most critical, the most significant aspect of your work is who you are instructionally. It's where the rubber meets the road. If you got teachers in your building who are not performing at satisfactory or above levels, and then you know they're not being coached, that's like the football team on the field with the coaches hanging out in the locker room until the game is over. It's the same exact thing. So if the teachers are just in there teaching, but they have no connection to you instructionally, pedagogically, then it's like you just hanging out in the locker room, and in your case, in the office while the teachers are teaching, and then you scratch your head wondering why Jalil and Jamila are not performing at the levels upon which they have the capacity to perform. Why should they? If the teacher doesn't have the coaching that's required, you really expect that team full of great athletes to be championship teams when there's no coaching? We just say, based on your raw talent, get out there and win? It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. So Amazon, go get it right now. Like if you're watching me on Chrome, hit that tab and go to the other tab. Order the book while I'm still on this tab. That's all. Safari, same deal. The conference is Monday, y'all. This Monday, President's Day, New Jersey, Seton Hall University, South Orange, New Jersey, Nurturing Greatness. Come on out, man. I'm not one of the speakers, but you know I'm gonna grab a microphone. I'm one of the hosts, right? But my brother Salome Thomas L, Principal L, he's the keynoter, and then we got all these speakers flying in from all over the place. Come on down. Just go to my Facebook page, because I'm not gonna put it on the screen and waste time. Go to my Facebook page. You'll see the flyer right there near the top. It's not at the top, but it's near the top. Hit that QR code. Join us in South Orange, Seton Hall University, Monday all day from 8:30 to 3 o'clock. It's gonna be dynamite. You don't want to miss that, right? Even if you're not from Jersey, get on that plane and come on and join us. I'll get on planes and join you, so you get on a plane and join us, right? And then those of you in New Jersey, if we haven't connected in some way relative to the New Jersey affiliate of the National Alliance of Black School Educators, I am the president-elect of the New Jersey affiliate. We have an information meeting coming up the 24th because we want Jersey to be the most powerful affiliate in America, right? So we have this informational meeting coming up on February 24th at 6:30. If we haven't communicated in one form or another, inbox me right now and say, I need the QR code so that I can register for the February 24th meeting. Again, if you're in Jersey, now some folks were asking me if you're not in Jersey. No, your state has an affiliate. This is Jersey, folks. If you're in Jersey, inbox me right now, and just request the QR code so that I can get it to you, so that you can be a part of that informational meeting. Because you know, we got to change education for Black children. And if I'm affiliated with this New Jersey chapter, I'm going to be a part of the leadership to spearhead that effort, particularly in the state of New Jersey with that affiliate. So make sure that you reach out to me if you're watching from Jersey right now. If you're from another state, then you need to call the national office, which you can go to nabse.org, NABSE, and find out, get the information about the state affiliate in your state, right? And lastly, my School Leadership Institute is July 9 and 10 in Savannah, Georgia. I want you to be there. So go to principalkafele.com, scroll down on the home page to where you see School Leadership Institute with Principal Kafele. Join me for 2 days, July 9 and 10 in Savannah, Georgia. We talking instructional leadership for 2 whole days, right? I don't know where else you're going to find that, but we're going to be talking instructional leadership for 2 whole days. So make sure that you that you go to principalkafele.org. We got an early bird special. So the first 30 that register, yours is discounted. So just go to the page right now, hit that other tab, go and register, and then we'll see you in Savannah, July 9 and 10. Whew, enough said. Let me get to this monologue, y'all. Let me get to this monologue. My monologue topic today is called Not Black History, but the Black Man and Woman in History. Black History Month, the 14th day. Some people call it Valentine's Day as well, but I'm in the Black History Month mode, right? So again, my topic, not Black history, ... but the Black man and woman in history. Where did I get that from? I got it from something I read that Dr. Carter G. Woodson, the founder of Black History Month by way of Negro History Week in 1926, and here we are in the 100th anniversary this year, right now. Well, last week I read you something from the Miseducation of the Negro. Matter of fact, I didn't read it. I cited it. I quoted it. But this time I'm gonna read because I don't have this one memorized. But it comes from an article that he wrote in his Journal of Negro History in 1927. Take a listen. He said, we should emphasize the Black man and woman in history. He said, we should emphasize not Negro history. And I'm using the word, the language he used because of when he wrote it. So let me say that one again. We should emphasize not Negro history, but the Negro in history. What we need is not a history of selected races or nations, but the history of the world, void of national bias, race, hate, and religious prejudice. There should be no indulgence in undue eulogy of the Negro. The case of the Negro is well taken care of when it is shown how he has far influenced the development of civilization. That's a powerful quote, y'all. You might even want that quote. So just Google the Black man and woman in history, and you'll probably, in Dr. Carter G. Woodson. But let me get to my point. You know, in conjunction to what he said in the article, hear me well, family. I want to go back to 1896. So you got a young man who's very, as they would say, fair skinned, very light. Probably some would think he was white, and his name was Homer Plessy. And he was on a train in Louisiana, and he decided to sit in, as they would call it in that time, the colored section. He was immediately arrested, and it became a court case. And it eventually, to give you the very short version, made its way to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court ruled 7-1 that being separate but equal is not a violation of the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. So hence, here's Jim Crow, right? Here's legal segregation. Now, I'm sharing this with you in the context of the quote that I just read. So what I just shared with you, although he was a black man, because he, you know, just a little smattering of black blood makes you black, it's still not necessarily just black history in isolation. It's American history. It is a significant portion of the American story. So now you got in the American story, this legal separation of the races called segregation. That lasts until 1954, 64, 65. So with 54, you have Brown versus the Board of Education. And in 54, in that whole fight led by the great late Thurgood Marshall, right? And then the NAACP. So now that Supreme Court ruling was that school children cannot be segregated in schools. It is unconstitutional. So therefore, the desegregation of schools must occur with all deliberate speed. And that's significant. All deliberate speed. Well, it didn't happen with all deliberate speed. One could say up to 2026, it still has not happened with all deliberate speed. But however, in this city called Little Rock, Arkansas, a woman by the name of Daisy Gatson Bates of the NAACP organized students to integrate Little Rock Central High School. I'm not going to get into the whole thing because this is just a monologue, and I got 2-3 powerhouse guests waiting in the wings. But These 9, she had to vet these young people because she understood this was not going to be easy because the outrage was going to be intense. So these 9 decided that they were up to it. So you know the story. And if you're sitting on this call right now and you don't know the story, then your brother is saying you have homework to do. You cannot lead a school. You cannot teach a class. You cannot work around Black children. And you do not know the story of the Little Rock 9. And I'll give you something else which we'll explore at another time. There's another Little Rock youngsters called the Little Rock 6. And a lot of times we don't know about the Little Rock 6, but Little Rock is broken up into Little Rock and North Little Rock. Well, in North Little Rock, you got the Little Rock 6. And we don't hear much about them, but that's maybe next week's monologue, right? Let me stay consistent. So ultimately, they graduate. All of them didn't stay because it was a lot to endure. Dr. King goes to the graduation, by the way, right? A lot of people don't realize that in 1958. The next year, all the high schools in Little Rock were shut down. They said, we're not doing this desegregation thing. We're not doing this integration thing. So they shut it down. And then in 1959 through 64, Prince Edward County schools, that's the whole district, shut down for 5 years. Now, what is my point? With that segregation, now we're talking about segregation relative to housing, education, employment, healthcare, transportation, shopping, military, etc. Right? Just I can go on and on. But my point is, it's legal. That's the American story. So what Carter G. Woodson is saying, as I conclude, he's saying, don't take, like I'll use Little Rock as the example. Don't take Little Rock and isolate it. Don't take the Little Rock 9 and isolate them and just talk about the experience of integrating a school. He's saying in that quote I read you, no, give the fuller story that the Supreme Court, the same one that exists now, just different people, said that the separation of the races is not a violation of the Equal Protection Clause under the 14th Amendment. You got to tell the full story. And now Brown versus Board of Education says this has to end with all deliberate speed, but it did not. So you got to tell the full story to give fuller context, but more importantly, fuller understanding. And when the youngster has fuller understanding, then 2026 makes more sense. But if I don't have fuller understanding of the road that got us here, then I can't really make good, proper sense of contemporary time. So as leader, I got to hold up the mirror for this one. As leader, you got to ask yourself the question, do you have the audacity, the temerity to ensure that your students are being exposed to more than biographies of great people in history? Because the biography is going to isolate the context. And in order for your youngsters to understand the context, you got to go beyond having them doing a book report on somebody's life. That's what leaders do. And I can tell you something as I close. I was him. Did I get in trouble? Yeah. But can I look in that mirror and be proud of who I see looking back? Oh, heck yeah. Right? So we all gotta have that coming to Jesus moment and make a determination who we gonna be in these leadership streets for our young people. Enough said, y'all. I don't know how long I went, but I know I went more than 5 minutes. Let's go. I got 3 guests, man. Man, these guests, these are guests with like national and international reputations, right? They like, I hope the screen is big enough for them, right? You know, let me get them on up here, man. I'm gonna just bring them up in the order I see them on my platform here. I don't know if I got enough screen for y'all, man. we got Dr. Lacy Davis, we got Dr. Chike Akua, and we got Dr. Coach Professor Alfred Powell. I know everybody call you Doc, and I know what that is. So to the fam out there, do me a favor before I read these bios. They sent me the short versions, which I asked. Coach Powell's was so long, I just had to edit a little bit of it, right? He's done so much in life. But listen, y'all, do me a favor before I read these bios. Hit that share button, hit that retweet button, hit that repost, tag somebody, call somebody, text somebody, let them know we are here, we are live, we are in person, we are in living color. We got a whole lot to talk about relative to meeting the academic, social, emotional needs of the Black child. You don't want to hoard this information for yourself. You want to make sure that your colleagues, your family, your homies have the same information. So let them know. Let me start off with Dr. Chike Houston, a leadership strategist and teacher transformation specialist.
You said Dr. Chike Houston. You said Chike Houston, brother.
Are you serious?
Shout out to Sister Dr. Chike Houston.
I'm bugging. Let me bring it down. Yeah, bring it down. I ain't never made that kind of mistake. All right, here we go. Dr. Chike Akua is a leadership strategist and teacher transformation specialist with over 30 years in the field of education. He is also an associate professor of higher education leadership at Clark Atlanta University. And as an internationally recognized thought leader, Dr. Akua is the author of 13 books, including Education for Transformation, The Keys to Releasing the Genius of Black Students, which is used in a number of colleges, universities, and urban school districts for professional development. Dr. Akua has also developed Reading Revolution Online, a web-based, culturally relevant academic support tool that increases reading comprehension, vocabulary development, grammar, and writing skills. He has a lot of books. I got a lot of them here, but I got two next to me, and I'm gonna just flash them up here right quick. This is Education for Transformation. It's probably the first edition, but that's one of them. You get the second edition right on YouTube, so go ahead there. And Kepera is another one. He's got another even newer one. These are the two I just grabbed, but you go to Amazon, they'll all show up, right? Or his website, which he'll tell you about how other ways you can get it. Let me go to Dr. Lacy Davis, right here in Jersey, is the executive director of the Family Support Organization of Union County, Plainfield, New Jersey, where his organization provides support, education, and advocacy for parents of special needs children. He is the parent of 4 adopted children and 1 birth child. He holds a Bachelor of English degree from Drew University, Madison, New Jersey, a Master of Administrative Science degree from Fairleigh Dickinson University, Teaneck, New Jersey, a Master of Public Administration degree from Rutgers University, Newark, New Jersey, and a Doctor of Education, EDD, degree from St. John Fisher University in Rochester, New York. He holds a school principal certificate from New Jersey. His research interests include police use of force, implicit bias, and community police relationships. Dr. Davis retired as a police sergeant at the East Orange, New Jersey Police Department after 20 years of service. Should have been a lieutenant, but that's a long story. We won't even get into it. He was taught 13. He has taught 13 years in the Essex County Police Academy. Served 5 years as a charter school principal in Newark, New Jersey, and he's taught servant leadership, public administration, nonprofit management, and public education in Newark for 4 years as a lecturer at Rutgers University School of Public Affairs and Administration. He's formerly the executive director of the New Jersey Alliance of Family Support Organizations, 2019 to 25, which is responsible for certification training of FSO peer support partners, continuous quality improvement, and technical assistance for family support organization. Directors, board of directors, and staff. He is a member of a team of professionals developing a 988 mobile response stabilization services quality learning collaborative for several states. Dr. Davis finally is responsible for ensuring that the family's voice is embedded into the service frameworks and best practices. I don't know if Doc, I'm not sure. I don't think Doc has written any books lately, but I know that this is a long time classic of his. Black Cops Against Police Brutality, a crisis action plan by Lacy Davis before he had that doctorate next to his name. So you can get still on Amazon. Still get it on Amazon. And then lastly, we got Coach Powell, Coach Alfred Powell. I had to edit some of this, y'all, but there was some things I couldn't not read. So let me just read fast, y'all. If I stutter, it's because I'm going so fast. Founder and CEO, Coach Alfred Powell, founder and CEO of the Human Motivation Council and Human Motivation Circle. Professor Alfred Coach Powell is an internationally respected motivational speaker, author, lecturer, certified master life coach, workshop facilitator, a dedicated community educator, change agent, and social activist. He effectively lectures from the halls of education to the walls of incarceration. Professor Powell serves as an adjunct clinical associate professor at the School of Social Welfare and Health Sciences, Center for Culturally Competent Education and Training, Stony Brook University. He is also the youth director coordinator for counseling and treating people of color in an international perspective. He works as a teacher, transformation coach, and student advocate instructor, providing professional development and classroom management, collaborative teaching, teacher-student relationship building, and life coaching for school resource officers and professional staff in Lima City Schools, Lima, Ohio. He's a distinguished researcher emeritus for the state of Ohio's Urban Minority Alcoholism and Drug Abuse Outreach Program. Professor Powell is a master trainer consultant for the Mirrors for the Youth program of Bermuda, delivering trauma-informed and family crisis training for counselors and youth providers. He's also co-founder, director, Coaches for Social Justice with the Miami Valley Football Coaches Association in Dayton, Ohio, and a master motivational specialist for primary, secondary education with the Visionary Leaders Institute, Atlanta and Columbus, Ohio. Coach Powell's a Hall of Fame high school coach. Let me say that again, Hall of Fame high school coach in football and track and field. His football teams earned 20 league titles and 11 Ohio State playoff appearances. His track and field teams earned 16 Ohio State indoor and outdoor championships, his state runner-up finishes, and 3 national titles. And then finally, Professor Powell often jokes that one day he'll work a regular job just to see how the other side feels. He credits dyslexia, childhood adversity, and trauma for shaping his life's work. Let me read that part again, because sometimes, you know, we're dealing with stuff and we use that as a crutch. And I think that deserves reading one more time. He credits dyslexia, childhood adversity, and trauma for shaping his life's work. Though his accolades are too numerous to list, he says nothing compares to the smiles and heartfelt gratitude of the children and families he serves. Now, I had to the fam out there, I had actually I deleted a bunch of paragraphs. There's so much more, but I did want to make sure that I put these 3 books on the screen as well. This is called Check. This is the creator of the word check beyond the literal definition of check. This is the if you ever hear people say check, he created that, right? So that's this book, Changing the Game for Student Success, Self-Esteem, Gasoline, right? Igniting Efficacy Within Master Teachers, and Beyond the Bystander, a teen's guide to overcoming bullying. Again, Beyond the Bystanders, a teen's guide for overcoming bullying. Now, this is not all he wrote. Many of you out there might know him from his 2-volume set called Message in the Bottle, right? I failed to get it. It's in the shelf. It's hard for me to walk and get, but a lot of people know that book, but they may not necessarily know the name of the author that's on here right now, because there's so many young heads on here. But again, Message in the Bottle. Is that the exact title?
Yes, Message in the Bottle, the 40-ounce scandal.
Yeah, volume 40-ounce scandal. Yeah. So y'all, you know, you can go to Amazon for all 3 of these brothers. But right now, you don't have to read. You don't have to read their work, because they're getting ready to speak to you, right? So let's go, brothers. Let's start it off. I want to go with Dr. Akua, who was Whitney Houston, apparently. I don't even remember saying that, but I'm going to take your word for it. Yeah, but I hope you don't mind me saying this, Doc. I'm sure you wouldn't. Dr. Akua has a very, very influential sister by the name of Dr. Leslie Fenwick, who wrote an extraordinary book that I would say to the fam out here, you must have it. Right. Yeah. You just can't do this work and you don't have her book, which is called Jim Crow's Pink Slip. Now, I know that there's some people out there, you say, oh, I got that. Yeah, well, that's Dr. Akua's sister, his big sister, I might add. I might even add, because I know you want the sister that played a significant role in Dr. Akua becoming Dr. Akua.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Jim Crow's Pink Slip, the subtitle, The Untold Story of Black Principal and Teacher Leadership. She wrote this article that I've read like umpteen times called Massive Resistance to Brown's Integration Decision Purged Black Educators. I want to read an excerpt and then I want to go right to Doc. Check it, and I'm reading the excerpt because I want the fam to hear this. Fam, hear this well. As Black schools were closed in the name of desegregation, right? So we talk about deseg, but the other piece to that is the schools that house Black children shut down. So let me read. Let me stop interpreting. As Black schools were closed in the name of desegregation, personnel and other funds that supported them were diverted to vouchers, tuition grants, and financial aid to support a growing system of all-white private schools under a practice labeled a voluntary desegregation plan of school choice. Hear me, fam. In their rush to stop Brown's mandate, segregationists initiated a massive resistance strategy that ultimately led to the firing, dismissal, or demotion of 100,000 exceptionally credentialed and experienced Black principals and teachers between 1952 and the late 1970s. So in other words, if I can interject real quick, you could have been principal of a school and now you're the custodian of a school. That's how it went down. So finally, prior to Brown, 35% to 50% of principals and teachers were Black in the 17 dual system states, meaning Black and white schooling in the states. Today, no state even approaches these percentages. In fact, less than 7% of the nation's 3.2 million teachers, 11% of the nation's 90,000 principals, and 3% of the nation's nearly 14,000 superintendents are Black. The underrepresentation of Black people in the nation's educator workforce is tied to the massive resistance to Brown. With that said, what is the hope for Black children in schools in the midst of underrepresentation? Are we making too much of it, or is it a sticking point toward Black student achievement?
The hope is us, Black teachers, Black administrators, and Black parents. What you and you read a lot in that quote. What we have to understand is the cascading effects that we're still feeling today as a result of the demotion and dismissal of over 100,000 Black principals and teachers. And that has never been replaced. And so now we're at an all-time shortage and people still dropping out of the ranks. So the impact that has when the vast majority, well over 70% of Black students have in front of them a non-Black teacher every day. They don't have access to a Black teacher. So their models of intellectual authority do not look like them. And so that says something. If I walk into a science class and I don't see somebody who looks like me, if I walk into a language arts class or a math class or a social studies class, and I don't see a model of intellectual authority that looks like me. And so when you talked about what is the hope is us, because we have to do the job at home and in the community as well as the schools. But we also have to let our children know, let young people know that education is still a very important profession to major in for college. The impact that you can have not only on children, but on families and also communities is absolutely tremendous. And I have to say, since you brought up my sister, she's not only a scholar, she was also a practitioner.
Yeah.
She's an award-winning teacher. She was an administrator one time. And she was also the second person in line to become Secretary of Education.
Yeah.
And so She's done, and she's also a big sister. So I wouldn't have gone to college and got my undergraduate degree. And then once I finished that, she said, no, you got to go get a master's degree. I don't want to get a master's degree. Did you register for class? She was constantly on my back. So I got the master's degree. I'm like, I'm done with this. She's like, no, you got to get a doctorate. I was like, man. So she stayed on me for that as well. So I wouldn't have any of those if it wasn't for her. So she's not only a scholar, outstanding scholar, but also a practitioner.
And for the Howard fam out there, Dean Emeritus at Howard University.
Mm-hmm.
Just so much. Appreciate that. Anybody want to jump in on that same question? All right. I thought you were going to say something, Kobe.
Well, hope is essential. We can't go forward without it. And often I teach my class or in my PDs, hope is for helping other people every day. And if they're ebony, it's okay.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. So this is what we can't choose to do this. We are chosen to do this. And that's the hope. Mm-hmm.
Love it. Dr. Davis, here's the other challenge with seeking out Black educators. And this is me. I think the three of us will probably share in my sentiment. I don't just want a Black face. I need a Black face that brings a level of consciousness with it, right? And if they don't bring the consciousness, I want them to have the openness to allow me and others to give them that which the schooling that they received up to this point did not afford them, right? So I always found that a challenge. So I always sought those brothers out, right? And sometimes it was beyond folks who were already in education. So my question, therefore, for you, Doc, what are your thoughts on how we convince conscious Black men who are not in education, like yourself, to consider education like you did, as opposed to being on the sidelines with the concerns about it, but not being in the fight, working with young people? What are your thoughts about how we go about getting them?
So let me mention 3 points. Yesterday, I was with a study group and we were talking about Dr. Carter G. Woodson. And while we talked about it here in 1927, and most of us will start the conversation around Negro History Week, at the 9th Grand Conclave of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity in 1920, at their 9th one, he was their keynote speaker. And he implored Black men there to not only study Negro life, but also celebrate the accomplishments of Negro people in their Negro lives and go out into the world and do that work. And to this day, that is one of the national platforms of Omega Psi Phi for National Achievement Week, where they're celebrating individuals, the community, the citizen of the year, as well as scholarship. So the first thing is we must continue that work because that is the building block for our community, wherever we are. The second piece is that Dr. Linworth Gunther was my mentor most of my life, an educator, a Black man at Essex County College, very well spoken, as you know. And then I came in contact with another Black man named Baruti Kafele. You were the principal for one of my adopted daughters. I didn't know you at all. I showed up at the school. You met me at the counter, and that was the first. It was like love at first sight, if you will. Kimberly, you know what I mean, right? And so we were connected and have stayed connected. And that's been my relationship with my brother, Dr. Akua, as well as Coach Powell. So one, we got to have the desire to not only do the work, but love ourselves first and foremost. And then what needs to happen, we have to have Black people, particularly Black men, who are the models that we can follow. See, when I look at you and I look at any one of the brothers here, I know that I can trust them. I can turn my child over to them. When I've got my students that I mentor who are at Clark Atlanta, one of the pressures I put on my student that actually Dr. Akua this past year touched. I've been telling this kid for 3 years to go see him till we got to rock bottom. Dr. Akua says, I got him. And now this kid wants to be a part of education and teaching others. And now he's a flag football coach for the girls team and on and on. And so it has a contagious effect if we do it right. And we have to do it right. And that's got to come with some balance. And I know I got my brothers here. There's got to be some balance. There's got to be some accountability. There has to be justice. Because what happens, we get in these systems and we become confused Negroes, right? CNS, confused Negro syndrome. Black people in positions of authority more concerned with doing the right thing than doing the right thing. And so we've got to have Black people who are conscious and understand what the mission is and what their assignment is. And when their assignment is over, they got to get out the way so the next generation can take their stage.
You know, I got to speak to what you did. That last point you made. I left the principalship at age 50. And I say to a lot of people, always, I say, you know, that principalship is not always meant to be a lifelong position, because the children are changing through the decades. That's right. And we become so out of touch with young, and this is what Coach Powell talks about, right? Being able to connect with the younger generations. And we get to a point where we so old here, and we're practicing our leadership the way we did it when we had generations ago in our school. At some point, we got to know. And I knew at 50, it's time to leave, right? It's time to do something different. I'm not mad at the one that stays in there. Maybe there's nothing else to do, but the point is still well taken, that we got to know when to pass that baton to that next one, that younger one that understands the generation that's in that school, particularly the secondary level, so much better than the one that's 60, 70 years old, still in there trying to do this work. I love what you said. Anybody else want to chime in on that one before I move?
I just want to repeat what Dr. Lacy said. I had to write it down. Y'all missed it. He said it so fast.
I know.
Confused Negro syndrome. Yeah. Black folks are concerned with doing the white thing instead of the right thing. That's all. Need to repeat that.
But I'm gonna say this about see we on here, man. I hope we get to the end, because I'm gonna say this about Dr. Davis. I hate calling you Dr. Davis right now because I don't know you that way. I know you, but I'm gonna call you Dr. Davis because that's what I said I wanted to do. See, I've seen him keynote a lot, but I've also seen him keynote a whole lot. But I've also seen him on these virtual platforms, and I made a mental note. I wasn't even going to say this, but now that you said what you said, Dr. Akua, I'm gonna say it. He went right into keynote mode, and I've never seen him do that virtually. Never. He's always laid back virtually. He went right into keynote mode, and when he's in keynote mode, he starts throwing out them little things. And some of them, I think he's creating them in real time. I don't know that he did that one, but some of the other things I've heard, I said, he just made that up. He just created that in real time. That's what he does. Hey, fam out there, I told you we got some beast on the screen this morning. So you might want to tell somebody, call somebody, tag somebody, text somebody, and share and repost all those things, and hit that like button. I forgot about that. Hit the like button just to make sure that them algorithms are doing what they need to be doing. Let me go to Coach Powell. Where we at? Hey, Coach, as a teacher and a principal, in terms of me, achievement was always the goal, right? It was the goal. I want my students to achieve, but it was not the vehicle. The vehicle was always the climate and the culture of that classroom, the climate and the culture of that school. I can't, to the fam out there, achievement is not really conceivable if there's not a culture to support it, right? So what I want to just give you this backdrop, because I want you to go hard on this. School and culture mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, right? I know that the way I approach culture may not be how the next principal approaches culture. So for me, culture, in terms of the populations that I serve, had to be rooted in something that was African-centered. So not just a culture of excellence per se in isolation, but a culture of Afrocentric thought, if you will, right? Therefore, once I led this school, and the superintendent gave me the liberty of creating just that, right? Which is the school where Dr. Davis' adopted daughter, or just daughter, went to the school, Sojourner Truth Middle School. So my question to you, Coach, or my ask of you, talk to us about the significance of school culture toward the academic success of Black children in low-performing schools.
Well, first of all, I seek permission to speak. Permission has been granted. It's
Yes, sir.
everything.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
start with the CPR of that. CPR with several definitions that the three of us use when we talk about it. CPR first, for that success of achievement, we got to give children choices, power, and respect. Let me say that again. CPR. We go in with the mindset we're going to give them choices, power, and respect. As a result of that, the other CPR comes about. Culture propels results. So if we teach our children through a Eurocentric lens only, and even if the instructor is Black and he's learned through a Eurocentric perspective only,
Mm-hmm.
he will miseducate our children, not intentionally, but as a result, that equals achievement. So when we talk about what is culture, it's like sitting my people say, well, man, how you get 16 state championships, whatever. The culture in the locker room was identical to what the culture expectations I set for the classroom. If you don't get it in the classroom, you'll head to the courtroom. It's simple. So the culture was about success, and that's what it is. That's what we strive in. That's what I push. Know thyself. See, our children come from so much adversity. They say the ACEs. The adverse childhood experiences, and we say in those experiences we still see promise. So the problem is when we fail to set this culture expectation or apply culture to the expectation, what happens? Our children are then seen as a problem and not a promise.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's a subcultural mechanism that takes place. And it's damaging to us. And I could talk all day about that, but in the PD trainings, I'm constantly trying to get my teachers, regardless of the ethnicity, race, whatever they claim, is that culture is you can't do without it. They have to know who they are, from which they come, for know where they're going. They have to claim it and know it. I mean, listen, what do our young people want to be? They want to be great. They want to be successful. But I have to remind them success is spelled with 7 crooked letters. Please get this. So on the board, I said, we're going to spell the word success together. And I'm going to use you as an example. What's the first letter in the word success?
You talking to me?
Yes.
Yes.
Remember, life is full of twists and turns. What is the next letter?
You.
Is the cup half empty or half full? What is the next letter?
C.
Followed by what letter?
C.
See what you see to know what you know. What is the next letter?
E.
I want you to look at it as a capital E. There's a first level, a second level, and the top level. Success, the view is better from the top. What is the next letter?
S.
You got to strive. No matter the odds, you can't stop. You got to strive. And what is the last letter?
S.
Don't forget, there's a snake in the grass.
Mm.
So you got to stay on the move. That's the culture. Coach, how do your kids reach success? How do you flip schools? How do you flip kids that they say they can't be worked with? Because I go in it knowing that the mindset determines the grind set. And that becomes contagious.
That's powerful, so powerful. Let me stay with you for a minute. I want to go to the snake in the grass. Mm-hmm. Right. So I'm gonna give from my vantage point what I mean by snake in the grass for me. Mm-hmm. So the snake in the grass is here. You've got leadership, and I'm specifying leadership only because that's the majority of the people who are viewing, the fam out here. Mm-hmm. So, but you got some folks in the building who want to go against the grain. I'm talking adults now. So they want to go against the grain, although what the leadership is doing and coupled with staff is noble work. This benefit children, not just now, but for the rest of their lives. But you got that snake in the grass who says, nah, we gonna disrupt this, counter this. We're not gonna allow this to work because we have our own agenda. What do you say? Because I know it's got to be someone out here on this in the thread that's saying amen right now, right? Because they're dealing with that. What do you say to that leader to navigate that challenge?
Well, you know, if you're walking through a field and you see a snake, first thing you do is jump. You go for safety yourself. And that's what you got to do. You got to keep moving, but you got to use your eyes. I'm always, and particularly when I'm working with superintendents, I have a habit of just saying, trust your ears, use your eyes. And I let them take it from there, because there are people working against you. So the S also stands for that system. When we say that snake in the grass, it's the system. It is not really designed for us to be successful.
Right.
Let's just be honest.
That's right.
You mentioned in Little Rock 9, every time I go to Little Rock, I got to go to Central as well.
Yeah.
It's one of the first places I ever lectured at as a result of the Casey Foundation many years ago. So that system, just look at what you cited. People shut down school districts for 5 years to stop your academic success. And you want to believe that things have changed. The core is still there. So we keep moving, we keep pushing. Myself and a couple of my colleagues in one of my districts in Lima, we fight against suspensions. I mean, when a kid gets suspended, he or she has done something that has crossed the line. Okay, we can deal with that. But you cannot suspend trauma from a young person. Many of them are traumatized. So, you know, we fight. We have policies there now that we're giving them every opportunity to get it right. So yes, you are working against a system that hasn't truly changed. That's why we must stay involved.
Love it. Must stay involved. Hey, Dr. Akua, I think back on my teaching days, and I'm quite familiar with your teaching days as a middle school teacher. And cultural relevant pedagogy was the order of the day for both you and I in those classrooms. But the marginalization, the erasure, the omission of the history of Black people is nothing new. It's really as old as the country itself, right? So my question to you, I was able to do what I did in a city like East Orange, where all the students were Black. But how do we got a lot of Black students who are struggling and suffering in diverse environments as it relates to who they are historically and culturally. How do we in those schools bring some semblance of cultural relevance into those schools? Or at the same time, how do we ensure, so this is a loaded question, how do we ensure that those students are getting what they need in those environments, and particularly in those 17 states that that Dr. Fenwick referred to, where the consequences are real when you bring that information into those schools?
Yeah, you know, one of the things that I share with leaders and teachers when I do professional development, regardless of your ethnic identity, we're living in a time that requires tremendous moral courage. Tremendous moral courage. Meaning that because of the cultural and political climate that we're living in, there can be some serious consequences to doing what you're talking about. But you mentioned a little bit earlier that you can sit with a clean heart, so to speak, knowing that you put it all out there for your students. And I was the same way. I tell people I spent more time in the principal's office than some of my troubled students because of my approach to teaching. But what they could not argue with was the results that I was producing that they were unable to get.
Amen.
And the way that I was able to get those results was by centering my students in the best of their culture at a time when most of them had never been exposed to the best of the culture. They had only been exposed to the worst of their culture. So I maintain that culture is the key. It's the critical mediating factor in increasing student achievement, especially for Black children. But for teachers and leaders, you can't teach what you don't know.
That's right.
That was a big part of your opening remarks. You can't teach what you don't know.
Come on.
When we talk curriculum, I say the teacher is the curriculum. The teacher is the curriculum based on their consciousness, based on their competence, and based on their commitment. When I say consciousness, I'm talking about mindset. When I say competence, I'm talking about skill set, the ability to teach reading and writing and math and so forth. And then, of course, commitment is follow through. And so we can try to duck and dodge around culture all we want to, but we can't, because it's as ubiquitous as oxygen. And just like we can't live without oxygen, our children can't survive without a culturally relevant and responsive curriculum. So when people ask me, well, Dr. Akua, how were you able to take students from F's, literally from F's to A's? It is because I provided them with massive doses of their history and culture in a language arts and reading class. Massive dose. So if you've been miseducated, as Dr. Carter G. Woodson says, who Dr. Lacy Davis looks like, I want y'all to Google a picture of Dr. Carter G. Woodson. Davis is the exact reincarnation, by the way.
Yes.
But one of the solutions or remedies to miseducation, as Tishango and Bilashaka teaches, is massive doses of our accurate history and culture, and watch the students begin to transform before your eyes over time. They begin to see themselves in a different light. They've been gangsterized and criminalized and hypersexualized, but then you see them begin to transform with excellence and greatness and achievement. It's an amazing thing to behold. And if you've never seen that happen, then you don't even know that it's possible. That's one of the great tragedies in education, is that most people have never been under the guidance of a master teacher or a master administrator who knows how to transform Black children.
Yeah. Let me stay with you, Dr. Akua. So I get a lot of inboxes from parents of children, Black children, who attend diverse schools, and those Black children are the minority. But that parent wants wants her or his youngster to have an understanding of himself, historically speaking. Of course, that parent can become educator of his or her own child, but here's the problem with that. If that parent is writing me because they were exposed to me in some capacity, right, but doesn't necessarily have the knowledge or is not conversant in that which they want their parent, their youngster to know, then the question becomes still, how is that youngster going to be exposed to that information if that parent is not knowledgeable outside of that parent having to do the reading themselves? So now parent, because this parent was just said, I can't teach what I don't know. So I know what I want them to know, but I don't know it either, right? So it's like I got to educate myself to educate my child, right? Yeah. What would you say? What would you say to that parent who of that child who's in that school, that's just not going to happen beyond February, and it's probably going to be a bunch of biographies?
This is exactly why we created Reading Revolution Online. A number of years ago, as I'm going in on these issues of culture and teaching and so forth, a teacher came up to me at the break and said, you know, Dr. Akua, I agree with you that our teaching needs to be more culturally relevant, but the reality is I don't know as much about African and African-American history as you do. And I said, no problem. We have something that allows you to go on the journey with your students, okay? Or for parents to go on the journey with their child. And so that's why we created over 100 brief reading selections about Black heroes and sheroes with a captioned video, because we know that our children are very much visually oriented, that's one of their primary learning styles, is the visual learning style. And then we have activities in reading comprehension, vocabulary development, grammar, and writing, okay? And so the beauty of this, what we found is that parents love this because this is information that they didn't learn growing up, most of them.
That's right.
Or they didn't know how to transfer that information to their children. Same thing with teachers and leaders. Many of them were not aware of this information. They know that it needs to be taught, but they were never taught it and don't know how to teach it. So we provided a platform that allows them to do that. So for anybody who's interested in that, I can send you some information. You can just text the word READ, R-E-A-D, text the word READ to 770-309-6664. Again, text the word READ, R-E-A-D, to 770-309-6664. And we'll get you a free trial, free 7-day trial of Reading Revolution Online.
Love it, love it. We're gonna give you a chance to say that a few more times too, because they need to get it. You know, I want to switch gears a little bit. I was, as I said, I was in Little Rock the other day. So I went on a few pages of some of my Black Educator Rock friends who live in Little Rock just to see what they've been up to. And I stumbled on a video. I can say honestly and earnestly, I wish I didn't see this video. I don't know if you've seen it, it's viral, but it's these little school-age girls. And it's about 5 or 6 girls beating up this one girl. They're Black. And it's a very long video. They just would not ease up on her. They're pulling her dragging her by the hair and just punching her in the face, kicking her in the face, kicking her in the body. And they were just taking turns and laughing. And somebody, it had to be someone older than them who was very good with the camera, because the camera was still, right? As they moved about, the camera stayed still. So, you know, I watched it. And then when I finished, I said, why'd you watch that? Because that thing is in my spirit now. That's why I have it as a part of my notes, because it's in me. So somehow I want to purge it, but I probably never will, because you can't unsee anything, right? So I want to go to you first, Dr. Davis, and ask you, in the context of that video of those Black girls on that playground, how do we get the masses of Black children to love one another, to appreciate one another, to respect one another, but ultimately to have pride in being Black?
Jesus, he asked me that big question, right?
Yeah. Hey, do the lecture if need be. It's necessary.
So the first thing is we got to go back to the foundation. So we ran the charter school, as you know, because you helped coach me. We didn't have a lot of money. Children were technological. They were technology natives, and we wanted to change the environment. So we brought in a djembe, and we brought in a master drummer that we bartered with, who during breaks would simply play the djembe. And then what we did was we changed the carrot from the electronic stuff to you could get more time in recess if you wanted to learn how to play the djembe, which is already in their DNA. And in less than 6 months' time, we had 60 children in a drum orchestra that would drum every morning at our orientation. And that shifted. Parents asked us, how did you do it? Now, I'm a percussionist, I'm a conga player, but I can't run a school and play congas. And so we eventually got a grant and we hired the brother, and that became a part of our culture and tradition. Now, I said that because earlier I was going to tell you about the children that you and I have raised that are now adults raising their children, and we can see the impact of our involvement in their lives, in their children. But everybody doesn't get a Kafele or Dr. Akua or Coach Powell or Dr. Davis. But we got to grow them and we have to build them. So that's the first piece. We've got to do prevention, intervention, and the worst case scenario, suppression. So we've got to operate on multiple levels. So we've got to keep one generation from admiring that, right? World star. Remember, that's where we started seeing that.
Yes.
We started seeing us killing us. So the people, and Dr. Francis Cress Welsing says there's 9 people area activities dominated by racism and white supremacy. And if we want our condition to be different, then we have to get in them, change them, reform them, or tear them down and rebuild them. And they're education, entertainment, economics, labor law, politics, sex, war, and religion. And so at the end of the day, we've got to say, first, we want to stop any generation from seeing this as plausible. That's number one. Then we have to model the behavior that we want them to follow. Because that's the other piece. Not do as I say do, but do as I see you doing. So what your rhetoric has to match your behavior. And it does not very often. So that's another piece of this puzzle. And then we have to have, which has been lost in our community, intervention that looks very different in different places. I grew up in a time, and you grew up in a time where there would be no Black man watching another male beat a woman in the street.
That's right.
It just wasn't going to happen. And if it did happen, he wasn't going to walk upright to tell anybody that it happened, because we think, well, who beat you? Because we didn't tolerate it. And so we got to go back to some very basic things that are hard to develop, because as you just said, it's hard to unring that bell.
Yeah.
It is very difficult to unring the bell. I'm in spaces. I tell brothers, I got daughters. I'm a girl dad. I can't go to a go-go bar with you. I won't put dollars on women. And these are the things that actually get planted, and our children see us as hypocrites. Young people despise old people because we're liars. We don't do what we say. Like you just said, we got black. I got one of my committee members for my dissertation now reaches out to me after he helped me get where I am, and he's 20 years younger. He says, do you know that I never saw a black teacher until I got to my doctoral program? And so each week as he's calling me, he's saying, thank you for giving me the courage to speak up now as a retired black police officer. And I wish I had known you sooner, because I could have made a greater impact. So we got to operate at every level. We got to put our buckets down wherever we are. When Dr. Powell calls me to Atlanta, I show up. When I call him, he shows up. When Coach Powell called the both of us to go where ain't no black people in Iowa, I asked him, what black people were you asking us to go? He called us 6 years ago and said, brothers, I need a favor. And I want to say this to your audience, for people that may call, I can't give you the same favor that we give each other, because we've been on this battlefield a long time. But the favor means he's going to give us some pocket change, but we're going to go in and we're going to build a cadre, which he has done. We're planting seeds, and we just come back in to fertilize and water it each year. All of that work has to be done to get there.
Whew. Powerful stuff. Anybody want to jump in?
Oh yeah, what he said is so true. We're not here to put boots on the ground. We're here to put seeds in the ground.
That's right.
That's what educators are born to do. That's what life coaches are born to do. That's what superintendents are born to do. Where my fans at?
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? So that's what we do. When we talk about that video, we do a piece with 4th and 5th graders on bullying. And you know, with me, my being dyslexic, everything is about an acronym for me. BULLY simply means because you lost love yourself. You want to hurt someone else. And so I get on the piano or whatever, and brother get on the congos or whatever, and we do a little chant. You know, you just a B, U, LLY, you just a B, U, LLY. Who you talking to? And the kids go crazy. Then we say, stop. Why would someone want to hurt another human? We sprinkle those questions in there, and you won't believe the tears. You won't believe the intellectual fortitude that 4th and 5th graders take us to. The height, because they don't get a chance to express this. I told you not long ago, our children are seen as a problem, not a promise. They're seen without potential. And that other thing about this violence piece, and I know I'm going to lose a lot of people, maybe lose a couple of gigs right here, but it's called the YLBB theory. What is that? The little young baby boy. Everybody in hip hop is called little young baby boy, which is a major statement of immaturity.
That's right.
Now you have immature people leading the young.
That's right.
Little young baby boy. It's not a theory. It is a fact. We have researched it forever, and people think that's cute. No, it's not cute. The industry is designed. I'm talking subculture hip hop, not hip hop, real. I'm talking subculture hip hop that has come and allow us to mistreat each other. The enemy is within at that point, and we don't see it because we say we love the beat. Don't realize the industry is beating us up, down, and out of our perspective for what is education is really about. We are being miseducated. That's that snake in the grass again.
That's right.
That you get in trouble when you go in and you challenge a classroom or a teacher or a curriculum or a superintendent. That's that piece you get into. It cannot be business as usual. How many years does it take? We've only had people of color been able to sell what we less than 80 years of access to education in America. People don't realize that.
Yeah.
And we have achieved all that we have achieved. And so what you say, Brother Davis, is absolutely right. And yes, and I call on these brothers. Let me say this really quick. Dr. Akua is my student. He's the best student I ever had. Best student I ever had. And then Dr. Davis, then that's a little thing else. He walked up on me at a lecture with his firearm on his hip in his uniform and said, "We need to work together." And we've been together 33 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so these two gentlemen here, if you don't listen to me, listen to them. They are excellent. I try to get them in every district that I work in around this country, and they come and blow the doors off. I'm telling you, when we talk about meeting the academic and social and emotional piece, my piece is the social and emotional. You know, Akua comes in with the culture and the academic. Davis comes in with the real life, how to respond to the police, how to respond to the classroom, how to not go from the classroom to the courtroom. Beautiful piece that he does with that. And this, as a team, this is what we do, because we say young people must be involved in their own rescue.
That's right.
Knowledge drop. We don't ask our kids to apply. We say if we drop some science on you, just give us the knowledge drop. Right. Knowledge. Look at the word. If you don't know now, you'll jump off the ledge.
Love it.
They have to know now.
Love it. Love it. Coach, I'm gonna stay with you. Black boys. What are your thoughts? How do we get Black boys to understand and internalize their roles as Black men of the future within their communities?
Well, we must move them beyond the continent distance that they get. You say that they're boys, but at home they've been told they're the man. Two opposing thoughts at the same time. So the psychology, just allow me a second on this. So boy, B-O-Y, be only you. Enjoy running and playing and jumping over fence, skinning your knees, and climbing trees. Enjoy that while you can. Man, M-A-N. If you're going to call yourself a man, I don't think so. Because a man means, M-A-N, move around the nonsense. And so they get this conflicting report. So we got these boys in a school that think they have to be the man. In sports, we really don't help that in the world of sports either, right? I'm going to games. I'm hearing 7th grade basketball players' father screaming, "Eat a man!" I'm like, Lord help us. I know it sounds innocent, but it is damaging. It is very damaging. So that's what we work on. They want to enjoy being a boy, but being a so-called boy is not cool. I gotta be the man. Well, you're not equipped to be the man yet. So part of it is the misinterpretation of our language and the misinformation that we're giving them of what that is. And a real man is a role model who models the role.
That's right.
So as a real man, I'm not walking around with my pants sagging, which is nigga spelled backwards anyway, but I'm not S-A-G-G-I-N. I'm not doing it. I'm modeling the role. With them, when I go into the schools, particularly from my perspective, I get a lot of respect from the young people. I'm 68 years old. And they say, "Oh, dang, but you relate to us so well." When my grandkids keep me up, I coached for almost 40 years with Day Day, Ray Ray, and Pookie. And so there's nothing you can tell me that I don't understand in that sense. But I thank God I still have enough of my faculty to understand that I was confused about being a boy and to the manhood track. So we break it down from little young baby boy. All of those are immature positions in the position of life. And so you have to not man up yet, you have to level up. That's the term, level up. You're 10 years old, you're 11 years old. I don't need you to act like you're 4 or 3 years old. So we just make that adjustment as we go. So with my contracts a lot, I'm working. I always tell my superintendents I work 5th grade up. I get 3rd graders, I get 4th graders. And why do I get that? Because the adultification of our children in the reports that are turned in about day-to-day misbehavior, they are adultifying immediately, the teachers, the principals. And I have to go in and help them children reset themselves and understand at 10, this is what is expected. This is what we do. And this is what we don't do. So, etc. That's the battle that we face. And have them face that school is my job. I have them repeat after me. School is my job. When Brother Lacy Davis brought us in, I'm hearing all this drumming taking place. Then he said, bro, I need you to write some songs. And so, so we sit there, and I think he remembers better than I did. But one of the things that we came up, because it was an Afrocentric program, we came up, I want to free the African in me.
That's right.
I want to free the African. The ladies would come in. I want to free the African, and this cultural pride, and they start moving and jumping. Bruh, I can't describe it, but that cultural piece is so critical. It's so critical. So that's my response to your question.
Yeah, no, that was a powerful response too. I appreciate that. You know, let me we're gonna go to the talking points, but let me ask Dr. Akua one more thing. You know, Doc, I get to go to schools not just as a presenter, but as a consultant. So the consultant is when I really learn the building. Just all day long, we're traveling throughout the halls, going in the classrooms, having meetings, all that type of thing. And I hear a lot and I see a lot. So I'm still on these schools where Black children are in the minority, and teachers and administrators asking me my thoughts on this and that in terms of things they're trying to do. So my question to you, in those schools where Black teachers, Black administrators, Black counselors, Black social workers, Black school psychologists, and so forth are virtually absent, how do we from your estimation and given your focus relative to your work, how do we navigate meeting the social and emotional needs of those children in that particular space, or in those particular spaces where there's a void in people who look like them, who would understand them from that vantage point? What would you say to the educators there about strategy when they don't have those people there?
A couple of things that I would say to that. First, I want to deal with our orientation. I'm reminded of a story that I heard in a book called The Substance of Things Hoped For by Dr. Samuel Proctor. And he talked about a white teacher who was having a conversation with a Black student. Okay. And let's say that the teacher's name is Miss Johnson. And Keisha comes up to Miss Johnson. She's like 8 years old. And she says, Miss Johnson, are you Black? And so Miss Johnson says, well, no, sweetheart, why would you ask me that? And she said, because you got soul. See, prior to being in Miss Johnson's class, when Keisha would go to class, she had never been in a classroom where there were beautiful pictures and images of people who look like her on the walls. She had never seen where her life, her reality was centered in the things that they were reading and discussing in class. She had never been in a classroom where she felt that she was valued. And all of her life, she had associated having soul with being Black. But when she got to Ms. Johnson's class and had this set of experiences where her culture was elevated and celebrated, she began to shift her awareness. So a lot of times when I'm speaking to leaders and teachers who are not mostly Black, I let them know, when you hear me speak, you think that I'm talking about issues of color, and I'm really not. I'm talking about culture and I'm talking about our consciousness about culture. Okay. So that's one thing. So we know that our children are in a lot of schools where they're not going to see Black teachers and leaders, which is unfortunate, but it doesn't mean that we still can't make a difference. Okay. There has to be a willingness on the part of the teachers and leaders to get to know the culture of the students that they're dealing with. And then on the social emotional front, there are some very, very basic questions, nonverbal questions that our children are asking. Okay. And I cover these in the book, Education for Transformation. Here are 10 nonverbal questions that students intuitively ask teachers. Do you care about me? They're not going to say this verbally, but this is what their actions are saying. Do you care about me? What do you know about me? What do you know about where I'm from? Do you know what's important to me? Do you know what I deal with on a day-to-day basis? This is a big one right here. Do you know my learning style? Because if you don't know my learning style, you can teach till you're blue in the face and I won't understand a word that you're saying because you're teaching according to the way that you like and not to the way that I receive it. What do you like or appreciate about me? I know you're going to tell me what you don't like that I'm doing, but what do you like or appreciate about me? Who do you think I am? What do you think I will become? You know, there are many children who have told me that their teacher or their principal said, you're going to be dead or in jail by the age of 15. Yeah. Or if it's the sister, you're going to be pregnant by the age of 15. I've heard so many people tell me that teachers and administrators have said these types of things to them. So what do you think I will become? And here's a big one. Do you want to be here teaching me? Because children know whether you want to be there or not. Okay? Now, there are a lot of things that are oftentimes said about Black children, a lot of negative things. And one of the things that I respond to that with is those who think our children can't be reached have never seen a master teacher.
Yes.
And again, those who think our children can't be reached have never seen a master teacher teach. Think about it. You could take the same group of students. You see a group of students who are acting up, they're unruly, they're undisciplined, disrespectful, unprepared for class, disengaged. Ask audiences this all the time, and the response is always the same. And the question is, have you ever seen that same group of students with a different teacher or leader?
Yeah.
And now they're respectful, they're engaged, they're answering questions, they're asking questions, they're on time, and they're respectful. And every time the hands go up. The teacher and the leader make all the difference in the world.
That's right.
So that's my response about engaging our children in some of those culturally isolated spaces.
I love it too.
I'm a product, by the way, brother. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I am a product of one of those culturally isolated spaces. And that's one of the reasons I struggled and why I had to dig my way out of going from a 1.9 GPA ultimately to a 3.9 GPA.
There you go. Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's transition to those talking points and to the fam out there, particularly fam that are new to this platform. This may be your first time. With all my guests, when we've had hundreds of guests on this platform over the past 6 years, I have my own questions, but then I also want to give my guests an opportunity to speak on things that they are passionate about that may not have been a question that I asked. So I ask them to send me 3 short talking points, and then we go from there. So with that being said, that's where we are. So Dr. Akua, you kept it real short and simple. And you said high expectations is an area of passion for you relative to your work. Talk to us. What are you saying to us?
Brother, I can give you a perfect example that just happened literally last week because I was up your way in East Orange, New Jersey. I was in and out, so I didn't get a chance to come and holler at you. But I was at a school in East Orange, and I did a school assembly. So about 300-400 students. And then I did PD in the afternoon with the faculty, okay? So during my presentation, a lot of times I will start off a presentation by having everyone to stand up and do an affirmation, right? So I'll tell the audience, I'm going to count down from 5. When I get to 1, I want everybody to stand up straight, strong, tall, and silent. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And they stood up. Well, in this case, the students stood up, but then they just started talking. I said, oh, no. We can't do that. Sit back down. I said, I'm going to count down from 5. And when I get to 1, I want everybody to stand up straight, strong, tall, and silent. I said, you don't even know me. You don't know what I came here to give you today, to bless you with. And I'm a guest in your building. There's a certain way you have to carry yourself. Now I'm going to count down. And when I get to 1, stand up straight, strong, tall, and silent. Do you know that when I got to 1, everybody stood up straight, strong, tall, silent, and recited the student creed, which is the affirmation that I have them do. That became a teachable moment. Why did they do that? Because I set high expectations. You have to set the standard, you have to state the standard, and then you have to execute the standard. So I set high expectations. I stated what those expectations were, and they met the moment. And this is where we're dropping the ball. Number one, a lot of times we're not even setting high expectations because we have this this implicit bias that, oh, they're not going to do very well anyway, right? So we even set high standards. We just expect them to stay at the floor level, right? So we have to set high standards. Then we have to state it, and it has to be a repetitive kind of thing, over and over every day. And the elements of those expectations are in the student creed, the affirmation that I was having them to recite. Okay. And then we have to execute it. And when they execute it, we have to evaluate them and let them know, did this meet the standard of excellence? We're about, as Dr. A.C. Hilliard says, excellence without excuses. Excellence without excuses. So it's about monitoring and adjusting those expectations every single day to make sure that the children understand that this is what I expect of you, and I will not rest, and you will not rest until we meet the expectation. Now, how we meet the expectation may change over time, but the standard is excellence and will remain that at all times. And that's one of the challenges that we're facing. Most teachers and leaders have never been under the guidance of a master teacher or a master administrator who knows how to set those high expectations and produce excellence in a short period of time. So we've got to set those high expectations.
I love it. Let me holler at the fam for a second before we go to the next one with Dr. Davis about what you just said with high expectations. To the fam out there, you know, I would say probably 99% of you are either leaders or aspiring leaders. I ask you the question with the mirror. This is the game film. What is, I won't ask you, are your expectations high? What I will ask you is, what is the evidence that your expectations are high? High for who? Wow. High for your teams. High for your leadership team. High for yourself. High for your support staff. High for your blue collar staff. High for your students. High for your parents. You're the leader. So all of this emanates out of your leadership, right? I'm not going to ask you, are your expectations high? Because I already know the answer. You're going to say yes. But my question to you, what is the evidence?
That's good.
That your expectations are high? What is it about your walk through that building that it is clear and evident that your expectations are up to the clouds for your school? Food for thought. Food for thought. Let's go. We got Dr. Davis said the impact of trauma on the performance of young people at all educational levels. You had posed it as a question. I turned it into a statement. And what are you saying?
So I'll give you an example. I run a family support organization. Most people, when they see our work, think that I'm talking about a school because it sounds like a school environment. Like I have staff on here now. I didn't order them to be here. I simply sent it out. Half of them are here, right? They also probably came because they know Coach is here and Dr. Akua, but they're here, right? That's one example, and that's one piece of evidence that they want more and more education and more opportunities to learn and professional development, and I don't have to impose it. I just simply need to plant it in front of them. When we talk about the impact of trauma on the performance of young people, if we don't understand that they've been traumatized, then we're subject to cause them more harm than good when we believe we're doing the best thing we could do in teaching them. So, for example, I've got a young person that's in our youth partnership program, which is a support group for young people. Doesn't go to school, struggles at school, having difficulty at home. We bring them into this environment. It's led by young people and young social work students. It's supervised by an elder who is African-centered and knows how to center the students. I'm near the place. This young person shows up every week when they don't show up anywhere else, regardless of the conditions, circumstances, and it's been ongoing. And that young person is going to be featured tonight, in fact, on Eat Up New York City with Chef Samuelson, right? Folks said, what did you do? I said, we created an environment where they were empowered, where they are loved, where we understand they've been traumatized, so we won't re-traumatize them. We're not giving them hell about what's happened over there and all of that. We're understanding that something occurred, and therefore we must create a safe space for them. Dr. Seeley, one of my mentors, used to say in the 90s, power is not your ability to impose your will on the powerless, but your willingness to share your power with the powerless. So I ask young people, what do you need in this space? If you've got all the money in the world, how would you design this program in this environment? The second piece is what you taught me, Brother Baruti. We do Power Mondays, male mentoring for special needs young people who no one else wants to work with. Coaches come in. We do this every summer for 6 Mondays. And I lead it with them in my office, in my agency, and they're integrated into the environment. For some of them, they've never had this opportunity. On the last session, like your business, young people, they leave in a suit and tie. And we take them out to eat. And they utilize all the skills they've learned. Now, we're really only working on, it's a financial literacy-based program led by Dr. Nicole Simpson, a good friend. But what we're really doing is using ELA and math, because that's where we're struggling. And if there's special needs, we know they're struggling there, generally, more often than not in the educational setting. I bring in Dr. Jason Skeeter, who's a young brother that was in my doctoral program. Maybe he's 40 now. He teaches at a highest performing charter school in New York. I can't afford him, but he comes every summer. I had kids on the autism spectrum, struggling kids, struggling with math. And he came in and he said, first of all, I need to know all their grade levels and I need to know what they're doing. He did a 2-hour workshop for them. I was amazed to see the difference in how they responded to your point. That master teacher who understood the trauma that had occurred in their life. Every one of those young people at the end said to him, my teacher doesn't teach math like that at my school. In fact, I didn't understand any of these concepts until now with you. And I've got a student whose mother's on here right now who went from struggling in math to excelling in math. And the only difference was that Power Mondays male mentoring program. That was the intervention that occurred with a master teacher that Dr. Akua talks about, who understood young people, understood trauma, and understood, no, math has to be taught this way, not that way. That's what I mean. That's the same thing Coach does. Coach comes in and my staff will say to me, Dr. Davis, we know we're supposed to be working, but can we sit in the workshop? Absolutely. Because this is a community. It is communal. It is not an environment where I'm taught in the European sense, this isn't for you. This is for them over there. No, this is for the village. And if you see value in the master teachers who are coming into this environment, by all means, you have the right and the ability to say to me as the leader, I'd like to participate in that. And we make it available.
Wow. You know, to the fam out there, as Dr. Davis talks about the Power Monday, we had, because I attended the Million Man March, October 16, 1995, that was a game changer for me. And I knew that I had to do something different, beginning with my teacher years as related to my boys and then transitioning into the principalship. And ultimately, we created this program, the Young Men's Empowerment Program. I'm not going to get into it here, but Dr. Davis would come amongst literally hundreds of others over those 6 years I was at that school and talk to my young men in ways that my teachers either didn't have the ability to or didn't have the time to. So my question to you all then, rhetorically, obviously, what is it if keeping whatever set of students that you that are not focused, right? And since we're talking about Black children here, let me just go right to your boys, but I could also talk about your girls. What is that vehicle that you have in place, that program, that initiative that you have in place that goes beyond the traditional classroom to increase the probability that the students in question are able to get focused, understand themselves a lot more, and develop a sense of vision for where it is that they can wind up, right? Because there's got to be something in place that goes beyond to traditional teaching and learning. And this is a big and, it's got to be inclusive of everybody that you need in it. Because if it's just a specialized program where the kids who volunteer, those are the ones who are there, and they're probably not the ones that need it, then you're still not addressing the need that you have. So just think about that, because again, it's a leadership platform.
Mm-hmm.
I always want you thinking, what's happening under my leadership?
Mm-hmm.
That matters. Good stuff. Let's go. Let's see, where were we? Let me get my screen right. Here we go. Number 3. We got our coach here. You said helping parents, educational professionals, and students understand today's youth culture. And that was the one that was on my mind when I was talking about the principal moving on.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and give us that knowledge.
Well, I try to remind the parents and those who work with young people, because part of my marketing is I work with people who work with people. Let me say that again. I work with people who work with people. First thing I want you to realize when you're working with young people are incredibly suspicious, reactionary, and in a constant state of repair. I need you to write that down. Now, young people are incredibly suspicious, reactionary, and in a constant state of repair. And that is because many of them have been abandoned in some form or fashion. They've been abandoned, and human beings, we aren't always equipped, and particularly young human beings are not always equipped to respond appropriately. So they just push us off. So I'm trying to get parents to understand that if you look at the word youth, if you write it down, write the word youth and just circle the middle fix, O-U-T. Young people have been pushed out, pulled out, kicked out, and the list goes on and on and on. Turned out. So they're suspicious when you say, I come to help. They're suspicious. They react with slumping in the chair, turning their backs on you, because they think they've heard it all before, right? And they're constantly repairing with, are you okay? I'm straight. They're repairing because that pain, they don't know how to express it. So to understand that, don't call them defiant. Defiancy looks like a lot of things that are actually being misinterpreted. That's why I try to tell people, please, when it comes to dealing with our young people, you got to throw this thing away sometimes. Our children are under the influence of psychomedia perpetrator disorder. What is that? They see it, they believe it.
That's right.
That's why the music and the videos runs in loop, and they're actually constructed to give that message that you're not a youth.
Would you call it psychomedia disorder?
Psychomedia perpetrator disorder, where the media overindulging on images and mistruths becomes truth to the young people. And then that leads into prolonged adolescent syndrome disorder. Prolonged adolescent syndrome disorder. You're not going to find that in here because I made it up. Because I've been dealing with Day Day and Ray Ray for 40 years. And so this is why we're missing the mark. We have good intentions, but the three of us, we say, what does this mean culturally? How is it that our youth are being misinterpreted and misread? So when we go in, we tell young men, Because we look at the suspensions and why a kid is in the office. He was twisting his hair in my classroom. I tell young people, I have no problem with you twisting your hair. I have a problem when you allow someone to twist your thoughts. And so we go in, we give them another interpretation to say, let's get busy. It's time to do this in the classroom. Just as I close on that statement to when I'm working with parents and teachers about understanding today's culture, it's cool to have an F. Young people think it's cool to have a D. I only need 4 Ds to be eligible, to play sports. It's all right to have a C. So Lacy said, how are we going to counter this? Write a jingle, coach. So it goes like this. I asked him, what are the letter grades? The poorest letter grade is an F. D, C is in the middle, of course, B, A. In some places, an O for outstanding. F, fly my way to a D. D, dig my way to a C. C, see my way to a B. B, bounce my way to an A. A always leads to an O. O equals outstanding. Chop it up, turn around. I'm standing out. I want the school to know I have the grade. You got these 4th and 5th graders going around. You're like, yeah, when you teach it to them, they say it's corny. That's lame. But you can't stop them. Once it's in their head, they explode with it. And I mean, I can go on and on and on. But understanding our young people want to be successful. They have a purpose. The suffix to the word purpose is pose. Hold still and learn the lesson. Learn the lesson. So that's what it is. Our children have purpose, and the purpose is greatness. Why be good when you can be great? Why be great when you can be excellent? Why be excellent when you can be superior? It goes on and on and on. So we're constantly pushing. I won state championships with mediocre teams because they were mediocre in the beginning, but when we walked in the stadium, we was digging for gold. The attitude, the way that you carry yourself, the way that you walk, the way that you present yourself. You're not a YN.
Right.
You're not a YN. Why did they skip the letter M and go straight to N? So here comes Lacy again. Man, how are we going to fix that when we go lecture? Yeah, they could be a YN, a young Nubian.
Teach, coach.
That's right.
And they said, oh man, you can't be on that stage talking to them kids. They're gonna kill you, man. You're 60 plus years, you're 68 years old. Bring them in. And if I don't do the job, then you can keep the check. Bring them in. Now I'm married to a Delta, so I gotta get that check. So without that, but we're motivated naturally. I'm motivated because our youth have a purpose. God doesn't make a mistake. They're here with a purpose. We have to keep them in line. When you look at the word discipline, the word line is inside the word discipline. So there's nothing wrong with telling a child no, because your no is a yes to success. Now, I'm going to shut up because I could go on all day with that. Motivation is medication. Be careful how you prescribe it and how you use it.
I'm going to keep you here for a minute. I guess, this wasn't my plan, but I feel myself this entire time we've been on that I'm advocating for, fighting for the Black youth who are in these diverse schools, these racially diverse schools where they represent a minority. I didn't plan that, but I'm finding all my questioning to you guys, that's where I'm at. So I want to fight for them again, Coach. I want to stay with you. The YN. And for those, there are people there got to be people on the call that don't know what that means. The young N word, right? I'm not going to, right? So, all right. So that youngster's in the school and he self-identifies as a YN.
Yes.
But he's in a minority in that school, and the other minority students who represent the minority, they're in that mindset of YN, and the non-blacks in that school think that's cool. Right. That's it. Like, hey, I want to be one, but they can't say it. Right. Then those voices that could counter that, such as the three of us, are not present. They're not there. And at home, that's not going to do it either. Neighborhood, that's not going to do it either. So my question to you, and anybody can jump in on this, how do we address that kid that he begins to see himself as young Nubian in that particular learning environment?
I do one brief exercise all the way from middle school to the high school. You know, I said, man, I said, you need to wake up when you cross that mirror in the morning on your way to brush your teeth. You got to say hair good, eyes good, skin good, nose good, lips good, body. You better ask somebody. You know, you have you have melanin magic. They say, what is melanin magic? What is melanin magic? Then Akua comes on and does his whole piece about the greatness in our history. And
Yes,
Dr. Poor, just I'm telling you, I'm telling you, we're in a mixed audience. Not
yes,
a kid moves a muscle. And when he transposed those pictures of you been here before, who you look like, man, and then don't mean to be racial, but the white kids run up to him.
that's right.
Like, I never heard this before. I never knew this before. So
White
we
kids,
talk,
Hispanic kids, Asian kids.
yeah,
Oh,
all of them. So my job is the motivational piece and also deconstructing subculture hip hop to give them their pride back. They're like, I was at Central State University a couple of weeks ago. I'm dealing with 18, 19, 20-year-olds, right? I started off with like 80 kids in there on the lecture. Before I finished, it was 400 kids in the auditorium. They done got on the phone.
mm.
Say, hey, man, this brother in here dropping some science. Because I had just told him the world is making smartphones, but not smart people.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely.
So coach, I still want to stay with you. Y'all good on time?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, to the fam out there, you good on time? We ain't done, right? Listen, what I'm hearing, and you correct me if I'm wrong, if the leaders out there who hopefully they have it in the budget, that they bring you out, then you can engage them in that conversation. But let's say that there's someone out there who does not have it in the budget, right? Or even for whatever reason just can't bring people out, right? Because we know that exists. What could you say to a leader out there who, like the leaders on the call right now, they're sitting here looking at their screen, they say, they talking about my students, they calling themselves YNs and YBs. We ain't even talking about the YB, right?
Yeah.
So the YN and the YB, and I don't know how to resolve this. What advice would you give that leader? And that leader might be black, but that leader might be white. That leader might be Latino, that whomever that kid is in their building.
Well, the advice that I give them is that you have to dare to do the thing that makes people uncomfortable. You have to dare to do the thing that makes people uncomfortable in order to become comfortable. If you don't have the budget, we still have Zoom. We have Zooms. We all get together on those occasionally. But in fairness, you brought people out who's toxified your staff in some of those PDs that they've given. And so they eventually find it. We also say that you have to engage young people in an honest conversation. I'm in too many schools, mixed schools or whatever, and the N-word just flies around and they all accepting it. I'm like, whoa, okay,
Bouncing off the walls.
this is an issue. Because as Dr. Naeem Akbar says, when we use that, we're talking to a lower vibration. And that manifests. And that is not good for us. We're talking about, well, you have to care. You have to care. Cultural awareness, academic accountability. Let me say that again. Cultural awareness, academic accountability, radical literacy. You got to dare to read to expand your mind, and emotional safety.
Yeah. Wow.
Those are the things that help us center the child. When the three of us work together, my job is to recalibrate children to get centered, to understand their value and knows who's tricking them. Because I have the audience shout back. When I say trick, you say trick no good. You know, young people say trick no good. And I say, man up, stand up, pull your pants up. When you see 200 brothers at a high school stand up and pull their pants up, because sagging is something spelled backwards. You see what I'm saying? Just the knowledge. It's just the the teasers, and then these brothers come on and drop that other academic science on them. You know, we're traveling all the time whenever we can make our schedules fit to make this happen, and we're looking to do more. And I said again, I keep saying I'm 68 years old, but I'm looking to train people who want to do this piece.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I told you I'm married to a Delta. It's time for us to go travel and see the world. You know, and yeah, without a doubt. So I don't know if I answered your question totally, but there are some things that we can do, and we can talk. Just don't say I want to bring you in and we don't hear from you again. You know, we look at this even on the plane or airplane, even when we go to certain places and people say I just don't have it. I've written a check. I've called these brothers and said, listen, I'm gonna, you know, go over into my little pot and we're gonna go out here, we're gonna do this. Because this one brother or this one sister is out there struggling.
That's right.
And if we allow them to fail, how are we gonna live with that? When we know that we have some special medication, some special information.
Can I add something to that, Principal Kafele?
Absolutely.
When you talk about shifting identity from the YN to the young Nubian, I'm reminded that Naeem Akbar says the first function of education is to establish identity.
Yes.
I would add on to that identity determines activity. If I think I'm a thug, I'm gonna act like a thug. If I think I'm a criminal, I'm gonna act like a criminal. If I think that I'm stupid, then when I come to your classroom, I'm gonna act like a straight up fool, because identity determines activity. So even for those leaders and teachers that are listening right now, who are non-Black, or whether they're Black or not, we're talking about shifting identity. And one way to shift identity is to show them models of intellectual authority that look like them, that demonstrate the excellence that you want them to demonstrate. In addition to that, introducing them to character traits. So you don't have to tell them necessarily you're not a YN, because a person who's not Black may not feel comfortable with that conversation. Or even a person who is Black may not want it. But if you continue to pour into them what you know they can be and what you want them to be, then what we will begin to see is a new identity arising. The alien identity of the YN begins to go down, and the authentic cultural identity of being beautiful, brilliant, and great and excellent and high achieving, that identity begins to rise up. So it's about pouring into them, as Coach said, asking them critical questions. And when they learn more about their history and culture, you remember many years ago, there used to be that trend where people would say, WWJD, what would Jesus do? Well, what would Malcolm do?
That's right.
What would Martin do?
Yeah.
Would Rosa Parks be talking like this?
Yeah.
Right? Would she refer to herself as this? Would Martin or Malcolm refer to? But hell, you got to know who Martin, Malcolm, Rosa, and all of them are.
Yeah.
In order to, but that's a conversation, and that conversation starts at the door, not in the classroom. If I'm the leader of the school, I'm meeting you at the door.
That's right.
With a handshake, with a hug, an exchange of energy. You saying, "Welcome, young king."
You sound like
today.
Yes.
From the teacher, I'm meeting you at the door. Especially my most challenging students, I'm meeting you at the door. I'm saying, hey, we're going to have a great lesson today. And this is what we're going to do. Here's what I need for you to do. Matter of fact, you can help me right now if you pass these papers out or whatever it is. But I'm meeting them at the door. You would be amazed at how that 30 seconds at the door buys me 50 minutes in the classroom.
I love it. Like I say all the time. Yes. See, my thing was I'll layer up and meet them outside, and the building is behind me. So as I'm meeting you and greeting you outside with the shake and the embrace, I'm shaping the culture of a building that I'm not even in, nor am I facing. It matters. So I'm glad you said that, so I can just holler at the fam out there. At the fam, how you greet them in the morning. It matters. And my motto was always, you're not coming in that building without going through me. If it's a big mega school, then that's different. But if it's a school of a manageable size population, you coming through me. That's it. That's not to be delicate.
Akua, when you said that key phrase, character, you know, that's one of the things that we did in Brother David's school. Character. You better get yourself some. If you don't have none, you will act like one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember, Coach, there's an African proverb that says, if the children are not properly initiated into the village, they'll burn it down just to
feel the warmth.
Our children are looking for attention, and they're going to get it one way or another.
That's
so
right.
Why don't I just give it to them in a positive way up front? Again, if the children are not properly initiated into the village, they'll burn it down just to feel the warmth. And I say that because everybody who's watching right now has seen children tear some stuff up. I mean, tear some stuff up that was purchased for them, that was done for them. And they tear it up because they were not properly initiated into the village. There's another African proverb that says, if the wise village elders don't teach the youth, the village idiots most certainly will.
That's right.
The village idiots are the ones that are putting out the latest thing on TikTok and the latest challenge and all those different things. So we have to become more skillful in these things and understand that it all begins with identity development, shifting identity from the alien cultural image of being pimps, players, criminals, thugs, N-words and B-words, to understanding that we come from the people who gave the world reading and writing and language and literature, architecture, engineering, agriculture, astronomy, mathematics, medicine, science, and technology.
That's right.
And when he drops that science on them in our presentation, I follow with writing the word village on the board or up on the screen. We circle the word ill that's in the middle of the word village. List those things that are ill, are sick in the community, and the kids start working. How many of y'all know 25, 30-year-old men who act like they're 15, 16? No one is acting their age in the village, and go on and on and on. You can't solve, life is like algebra. You can't solve your X if you don't know why. Can't solve for X if you don't know your why.
There you go. There you go. Let's keep it moving. Back to Dr. Akua, you said relational and analytical cognitive styles in Black children. What are you saying to us?
It's deep.
Yeah.
So what I've learned over time, back in the 80s, a sister by the name of Janice Hale wrote a book called Black Children, Their Roots and Their Culture. Their roots, culture, and learning styles. And she talked about the difference between the analytical cognitive style and the relational cognitive style. Most teachers have been trained in, there it is right there. Most teachers have been trained in and practice the analytical cognitive style of instructional delivery, right? But it's not that Black children are not analytical. They're very analytical. But they reach the analytical, there we go. They reached, you see how quickly Principal Kafele picked that up?
Yeah.
Like this, like, you know, that we all got these libraries, right?
You gotta know what's on your show. Because I see fumbling around. I know what's up there.
So it's not that Black children are not analytical, but watch this. We reach the analytical by way of the relational. By way of the relational. Let me say it the way Dr. Marcus Jackson would say it. You can't correct me before you connect with me. You got to connect before you correct. And so our children want to know, when you're teaching, what does this have to do with me? Whatever it is. I don't care whether it's balancing equations, or whether it's learning about the U.S. Constitution, or whether it's reading a story. Whatever it is, what does this have to do with me? That's the relational part. When you teach our children based on the relational, you will find that they're able to access the analytical. Let me give you an example. But be careful, because when they do, you'll find that our children are brilliant. One day I was teaching some 7th graders about the concept of colonization. And I said, you can tell who colonized the land by the language the people speak. So I said, in Mexico, they speak Spanish. It was colonized by the Spanish. In America, we primarily speak English because it was primarily colonized by the British. In Canada, they speak English and French because it was colonized by the British and the French. One of my 7th grade boys blurted out, "Dang, Mr. Akua." I said, "What? What's up?" He said, watch this now. He said, "They stole countries and continents. But if they think we even stole a candy bar, we get locked up." That's deep, critical, political, societal analysis, right? So he reached the analytical by way of the relational. I was showing him our relationship to these things. But a lot of people aren't ready for that conversation. In another classroom, that young man might have got sent to the principal, something like that. In my classroom, you're rewarded because you have demonstrated deep critical analysis, right? And so this idea of the difference between the analytical and the relational is really the key that unlocks the door to our children's academic excellence. It's not that our children can't, it's that we have not been using the right pedagogical approach in most cases to reach them.
Wow, great stuff. Let me do this before we go to the next one, because we've been on here for a while. I want the people to know how to reach you guys. So let me since you were speaking, Dr. Akua, go ahead and let the people know how to reach you, how to follow you, how to get your materials. Tell them everything.
Sure. So all of my books can be found at readingrevolution.org. Again, that's readingrevolution.org. You can just click on books by Dr. Akua. We have Education for Transformation. We have Honoring Our Ancestral Obligations. We have Words of Power, Parent Power. We have a number of books for parents, teachers, and students at readingrevolution.org. Now, for those that were interested in utilizing the Reading Revolution online platform, and I told you we have a 7-day free trial period, all you have to do is text the word read to 770-309-6664. Again, text the word read, READ, to 770-309-6664. And then we'll send you a link that takes you to that free 7-day trial. Also at readingrevolution.org, there's a speaker request form for those that want professional development, a parent power presentation, or Leadership Unlimited, seminar, any of those types of things. So that's where we can be reached.
Good stuff, Dr. Davis. You go ahead and I'll put up what you wrote on the screen as well.
Sure. www.drdelacydavis.com. www.drdelacydavis.com. And for the organization, it's the Family Support Organization in Union County, www.fso-union.org. That's www.fso-union.org.
And then then DeLacy Davis on all social media as well, right? Coach
Yes.
Powell.
I'm old school. If you want to reach me, reach my 2 students. You reach out to them, they'll get to me. But I can be reached on email as well because I enjoy emails. A as in Apple, Coach Powell at AOL.com, because AOL still works. So all the young people say, "Coach, let me hook you up. Let me hook you up, Coach." And I take text messages as well. 937-219-4485. But if you reach those brothers, you're reaching me if you're interested.
Give me the number one more. Give me that number one more time.
937-219-4485.
All right, good stuff. We got everybody, right? Yeah. All right, to the fam out there, we a little longer, then we'll bring it to a close, but we want to get this information in. I notice a lot of people are asking for a part 2. I see it. I see it. So Dr. Davis, he said, what is the role of support staff, clerks, social workers, cafeteria staff, custodians, parent volunteers, etc. in the building relative to meeting the social and emotional needs? And I only have 2. They only give you 200 characters on this, so I got to read the rest. Of a Black child, right? Of a Black child. What do you say stating to us?
So Gloria Buck was my social worker in the 6th grade. 100 years ago. She's in her 80s. I'm still in touch with her. She's still in touch with me. She's probably listening now. And I tell her the lessons that she taught me in the 6th grade. One of the most powerful lessons was I was in trouble reacting emotionally to something. And she said, let me talk to you, young man. And she just pulled me in out the hallway. She said, the first thing I want you to learn is that when there's a problem, I want you to ask yourself, who owns the problem? Is it yours or someone else's? If it's theirs, then step out of it and let them handle it. If it's yours, then we're going to give you some tools and some strategies to help you work through that. I can name an adult other than the principal and my classroom teacher in every level of education who positively impacted my life. And because of that, we carried that over into our school building as well as into my nonprofit organizations. For example, I remember a wise coach principal telling me, your custodian has to know that if any gang graffiti goes up in the building, you got to have a time limit for when it needs to come down.
Mm-hmm.
We were in a brownstone at our school for 5 years, no graffiti, because security knew, the people volunteering knew, the parents knew, everyone understood the culture and climate of the school. This is your role. It's not just my responsibility. Now, when Brother Kafele told me I needed to be the first one they saw, I remember my first winter. I said, did he really mean this? Every day I was outside when the kids pulled up. Someone sent me a picture the other day where I'm helping a kid over the ice and over the water puddles. And the other piece we didn't mention, and you must know them by name.
Yes.
And as you get to know them, as Dr. Adelaide Sanford taught me, who was my other principal coach, you got to teach more than the child in front of you. You've got to teach the family and all the adults attached to that child. So the school has got to become an institution of learning, not just a building that people go to from 8:30 in the morning to 4:30. No, I was at the school by 6 a.m. I'm the first person they see and the last person they see, because that is my role to model that for my staff. And so when you model it, everyone else falls in line. It's just natural. We're going to stay and do some extra. The custodian is going to be a part of it. The parent volunteer is going to be a part of it. The parents that didn't like me, we're going to make time for them to build a meaningful relationship. And what we would have is another staff person that would run interference and pull this conversation so we could de-escalate. It is everybody's job. The cafeteria worker who says, hey, baby, I know you're a little hungry. Just stick your plate back. I'm going to put a little extra in your plate. I got you, baby. Right? That's the role. Because every kid, now we had a hard line that you couldn't eat after a certain time. But the staff knew to very clandestinely get that kid that's hungry because they're coming from a home where there's food deprivation, perhaps. Mm-hmm. Figure out how to get them food without everybody else knowing they're eating. But everyone is going to participate in helping this young person.
Mm-hmm.
Love it, love it, love it. We got one more in this round, and then we just got one more round, fam, and then we're gonna wrap it up with our impact rapid fire questions, and then we'll be done. Where we at? Number 6. Here we go. So you said countering education and classroom fatigue. That's a big one.
Oh yeah, that's for me. Yeah, I got fed up, and even you have tackled this over the 303 shows that I've been watching in and out of. You always running right in the middle of a track meet or something, and I try to look over and see what you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
But when educators have platforms now, our former educators have platforms now, complaining about parents and students, why did you get in the game? What you're not speaking because you're angry with the lack of participation necessarily of the student or the parent. You're fatigued. You've been asked to do, you expect to do one load and you've been asking to carry 4 loads, right? Because we have shortage of educators. We have people who are not doing the job appropriately. So they're asking you to do it. So educators fatigue is a real phenomenon. You know, just like, oh, she's so mean. Teacher screams at them, they loud. Well, I tell teachers who talk loud, place this in your notes, please. Those who do scream, I want to inform you. Raising your voice does not raise performance. It only raises your blood pressure.
That's right.
It only raises your blood pressure. Now that you're in an ill state physically, you cannot perform to your potential. Children are coming into your classroom already fatigued by the adverse childhood experiences that they're going through. They need to be lifted. Why? Because teachers, place this in your notes, educators, then I'm done. You are in the life-changing, lifting, and shifting business. We are in the life-changing, saving, and lifting business. We also sometimes say self-awareness business, but those are the three. Those are the three that goes to the stool. If you remove any of those, one of those, the stool will collapse. Life-changing, saving, and lifting business. Yes, you're fatigued, but we can do something about that. We can meditate, we can do self-affirmations. When I walked in my locker room, when I walked into a stadium with my teams, we are in it to win it. We didn't come to participate. We come to dominate this space and this time. Dominate your space. I get so upset when I come to your classroom and 12-year-olds are running your classroom and you said, I can't do anything about it. You came in with low expectations. You have a degree. Play off the word degree. Degrees give you heat. When you teach a child with your degree, they feel warm all over, and you should be on fire. The room should be smoking. When I walk past classrooms, I don't have to go into certain classrooms and do an observation as a life coach in that building because I know things are in order. But when I can hear that class from down the hallway, I said, Lord, help me. I got to encourage this teacher to take care of themselves because raising your voice only raises your
blood
pressure.
Yeah.
So that's the fatigue issue. People are tired, they wore out.
That is so powerful. I know we're late, but let me just say this real quick as it relates to the blood pressure. And this is from the vantage point of strictly speaking, which we all four of us do, not necessarily the educating part of what we do. So I give a keynote. I'm a keynoter, but as speakers, we are
The best.
as speakers, we are very much particular about how we close. Right? If you're a speaker and you don't know how to close, it can have adverse implications for your entire presentation because you didn't know how to close it, right? So my closing, as you all probably know, was very loud, right? It like as loud as I can be. It was a guaranteed standing ovation, just guaranteed, right? But as I was getting older into my 60s, I'm 65 now, I was feeling my blood pressure rise, right? And I bring this up because of what you said about yelling or screaming. I'm literally feeling it, but I'm ignoring it. And then as I'm getting older, I'm like, ooh, I gotta sit down, right? They cheering and carrying on, but I gotta sit down. My mother's on my case, my wife's on my case. You gotta stop that. I used to play it, one of those closings with this platform before we start. It would be a video of me doing that. My mother would say, I don't watch that anymore. Right. I tune in after that part. Right. So not too long ago, I felt like I was like maybe going to check out of here. So I had to stop it. So now I don't have it. I don't have a close right now. So my close is trash, as the young people would say, until I figure something out, because that's all I was doing for years. I don't know anything else to close. Right. So I'm saying that to say this to the fam out there. Everything Coach Powell said about yelling, fatigue, and your blood pressure rising, it's real. Because I'm just doing a 30-second, 60-second close. We're not talking about me yelling all day. We're talking about just a close to close a 60-minute keynote, and I could feel the damage that it was doing. So take that to the fam out there. Take that seriously. That yelling can raise your blood pressure. Right? And when your blood pressure starts to raise, then all sorts of things can happen to you, because now your entire body is off balance, right? So take heed to it. That hit me. It hit me hard. Good stuff. Let's go. Let's go. We almost done. We got one more round, y'all. Then we gonna close it out. Where we at? Number 7, Dr. Akua. And I know we've been here, but give us whatever you got left in the tank. History and culture as a social emotional need.
Yeah, brother. We're dealing with intergenerational and multi-generational unaddressed trauma. To go back to something that Dr. Davis was talking about, and this needs to be addressed. When you're dealing with intergenerational and multi-generational trauma, there's a sister by the name of Tabitha Impaguri who says, trauma not transformed is trauma transferred.
Yes.
Trauma not transformed is trauma transferred. So when you talked earlier about that video that was circulating of these girls beating up another girl, we have to begin to address that intergenerational and multi-generational trauma. And one of the things that Resma Menakem says, this really hit me hard when I first heard him say, he said, trauma in a people over time can look like culture.
Yes.
So we begin to associate that type of degenerate anti-human behavior with being Black. Trauma in a people over time, unaddressed trauma, can look like culture. So people begin to think, oh, academic underachievement, that's just a part of the culture. Violence, criminality, apathy, lack of determination, calling ourselves the N-word and the B-word. Oh, that's just part of the culture. No, that is unaddressed trauma in a people looking like culture. So we have to address these social emotional needs, going back to those 10 nonverbal questions that children ask us and so forth. But that's critical. And as I said, one of the ways that I began to deal with that was that exchange of energy at the door. I can't emphasize that enough. It helps to build that personal relationship with the students who require that attention the most, so that once they get in the building or once they get in the classroom, now you've set those high expectations for them to rise up to. And then it also requires constant daily deposits. So your smile may be the only smile that they see that day from their peers or even from their parents and family. Your handshake, your hug, your words of encouragement may be the only handshake, hug, or words of encouragement that they receive that day. You telling them that they're smart, telling them that they're a leader, telling them that they're handsome or beautiful or that they're destined for greatness. I can't tell you the number of students who have told me, Mr. Akua, nobody ever told me I was a leader before. You were the first and only person who ever told me that. Everybody else just told me what I was doing wrong. Okay. And then giving them models of intellectual authority from our history and culture that they can emulate and live up to in terms of those high expectations. Those are the things that I think address the history and culture as social emotional needs.
I appreciate that. Good stuff. I'm not even going to prolong it, man. We're going to keep it moving. Here we go. Number 8 is Dr. Davis. What is the impact on the academic, emotional, social needs of Black child who has not had a Black teacher from elementary school to undergrad school? I know we talked about anything else you want to say about it.
I just simply say there's a gap in the experience. There's a gap, whether it's conscious or subconscious. There's a gap because you're missing some things, the nuances of what Dr. Akua talks about, the relationship, right? Those nuances are missing. In terms of Dr. Joy DeGrew's research around axiology, what do a people value collectively? What do they give the most value to? And for us, it's relationship. And so if I don't get to see us from my growth all the way to undergrad, I'm missing some pieces that naturally would occur. Even if it's a confused Black person, there's some good in them somewhere that I missed because I never had that experience.
Yeah. Good stuff. We got one more, fam. Where we at? Number 9. This was Coach Powell. Why we must commit to the life-saving, life-changing, life-lifting, and life-shifting business.
We must commit. I'm the youngest of 13 children, right? I have identical twin brother and sisters who were triplets. And so in my family, I watched my Nana and my mother and my sisters, they would gather in that kitchen. And, in the daytime, if Nana was teaching, how to bake a cake, and she come around, my one sister name was Norma Jean, and she said, Norma Jean, I know you made this one. You got everything that's supposed to be in here. She turned to my sister Leah and said, girl, I told you to just put a tad bit. You're supposed to put a pinch of this, a smidgen of that. And I'm thinking, what did those words mean? But she was teaching measurements, right? In a life-saving business, because my sister went on to be a great bake and I had a successful business. Using that cultural piece. What is a tad bit? What's a pinch? What's a smidgen? Somehow they knew through that demonstration. We're in the life-saving business. We cannot afford to fail. Black, white, brown, I don't care what color you are, standing in front of those children, you got to be in there being the life preserver. You got to be in there determined not to let your children go under. How can you walk around being proud as a teacher and 60% of your classes failed? You are a reflection of me. How dare you? No, my players are not on the field cursing and cutting the fool. Now, some of that has happened before, had emotional meltdowns, but you are a reflection of me.
There you go.
Should be able to be proud. Teachers should be able to lead a classroom and don't worry if she had to go take care of herself or whatever for 5 minutes without the children running amok of the classroom. So we got to have some backbone as educators. We got to be determined that we are in it to win it. And be proudful, be proud, have our pride about that. So without a doubt. So that's what I mean when I make that statement.
That makes a lot of sense to me. And I've got this spiel that I did at the end of the day, like it's just emblazoned in my head. That'd be 5 minutes before dismissal. As you leave this afternoon, remember, you are representing me, your principal. You are representing this school. North Tech, you are representing your teachers, you are representing your parents, you are representing your community, but most importantly, you are representing yourselves. Do not misrepresent. Right? Every day, 180.
That's your clothes, Doc. That's your new clothes. Just
I'm
adjust.
trying to tell you.
I know, right? Yeah.
Don't worry. I'm gonna drop that next week. Don't worry about it.
Good idea, Doc, because maybe I can make that into something.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Because that every day as a principal. That's how we ended our day.
Mm-hmm.
We're not leaving without hearing the principal's voice. We're not starting without hearing the principal's voice. We're not leaving without hearing the principal's voice. I'm the head coach. I'm the pastor. I'm the CEO.
Yes.
Right. So my voice matters. Right. Sometimes people, they want to fall back like they don't need to do that. Why not? They need to hear you. When the team leaves the locker room, they hear Coach Powell before they go out onto the field. And we don't just get dressed and march out. Right. So it's the same line of thinking. Hey,
that was beautiful what you said when you greet them when they come in.
Yeah.
And some principal, my wife, she gives a hug. This hug helps ugly feelings go away. Especially when you're in that primary age and in that middle, help ugly feelings go away.
Wow.
So give it up.
You got
Thank you
for everything in life, don't you?
Yeah. That's the gift of being dyslexic. Have dyslexia.
Don't let them write one about you. That's what you got to worry about.
Man, I love it. Hey, fam, we're at the end. I just want to go through these quick rapid fire questions. Hey, to the three of you, these there's no commas in these now. Right?
Okay.
It's boom, boom, boom. We should be done in 60 seconds, 21 questions. Here we go. 7 each. Dr. Akua, do you feel that education is currently on the right path for underserved children?
No.
Do you feel that true equity can occur in America's schools for Black, brown, and other underserved students?
Yes.
Does Dr. Chike Akua's work contribute to the progress we desperately need?
Absolutely.
If you could do a reset on your life, would your line of work be different or the same?
Same.
Why do you continue to do this work?
It's my calling.
What fires you up particularly within the work that you do?
Seeing young people transform.
What do you dislike about the work you do?
Adults getting in the way.
Dr. Davis, what do you love about the work that you do?
The impact and seeing the branches grow from my tree.
What do you dislike about the work you do?
The adults that aren't courageous enough to do this work.
What has been your greatest victory in your work thus far?
God, seeing Lionel Tate walk out of jail when he was the youngest person sentenced to life without the possibility of parole.
Absolutely. What was your greatest mistake in the work that you do?
Not spending enough time with my own children because I'm out amongst everyone else's.
What has been your greatest challenge in your work?
Accepting that this is a lonely walk in life and that you may have to go against people that you thought you would love and spend a lifetime with, but they're on the wrong side of history.
Who inspires you in your work?
All of you.
What book would you recommend to our fam this afternoon?
Their Eyes Were Watching God. Zora Neale Hurston.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Coach Powell, what do you want to accomplish that you have not accomplished yet?
Retirement.
Are you satisfied with where you are professionally?
No.
Is there another gear to your leadership, or are you at peak performance right now?
Another gear.
What would you say to an assistant principal out there who continues to face closed doors to the principalship?
Keep pushing.
What would you say to a leader out there who's lost their leadership passion?
Understand that the prefix to the word leader, it also can read as the word led. Don't be the weight to make the boat sink.
Oh man, you special, man. What would you say to a leader out there who's lost their leadership confidence?
Man, level up. It's there.
And if Alfred Coach Powell was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Boy, get a job.
If Dr. Chike Akua was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Oh, wow. To teach a life, to touch a life, and transform a life unto eternity.
And if Dr. Lacy Davis was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Reaching for the apex of the pinnacle of humanity.
Ooh, the apex of the pinnacle.
Pinnacle.
That's up there.
On the
Good stuff. I love it. Hey, fam out there, if you like today's session, if it resonated with you, if it spoke to you, if you can use what you heard, give us your favorite emojis. A lot of y'all started already, but now that I formally said it, give us your favorite emojis. You notice I'm wearing the Elite Giants today with the B. This is the Baltimore Elite Giants. Negro Leagues every Saturday. I got a closet full. And let me get my Louisville Slugger out here. And definitely y'all hit it out the park every time you came to bat. Grand slam, a lot of runs in. So great stuff. Hit us. Keep them emojis coming, y'all. This was a powerful session. I loved it myself. Not only as a host, but as a student. Just good stuff. Hey, one more time, how do they reach you? Let's go with Dr. Lacy Davis. How do they reach you? And
www.drdelacydavis.com, www.drdelacydavis.com.
Good stuff. And then here's the book he wrote. It goes back a few years, but it's still relevant. Black Cops Against Police Brutality, a Crisis Action Plan, right? So you can go to Amazon and get yourself a copy. Coach Powell, how do they reach you?
A as in Apple, Coach Powell at AOL.com.
All right. Old school. Here's three of several books that Coach Powell wrote. Check. Changing the Game for Student Success. Are these on Amazon, Doc?
Yes, all three of those are on Amazon.
Go right to Amazon. Self-Esteem Gasoline.
For teachers, yes.
Oh, this for teachers.
Oh, yeah. You got to keep that.
I didn't read the subtitle again. Igniting Efficacy Within Master Teachers. Again, igniting efficacy within master teachers. And then Beyond the Bystander. Right? A Teen's Guide to Overcoming Bullying, right? So you get the three of these, right? So get yourself a copy. And then we got Dr. Akua. Give them your information, Doc.
Yes, you can reach me directly at Dr. Akua at drakua.net. That's DRAKUA at drakua.net. Dr. Akua at drakua.net. And also readingrevolution.org, readingrevolution.org.
And then here's two books, Education for Transformation, The Keys to Releasing the Genius of African-American Students, by Dr. Akua, and then Kepra, Ancient Committed Concepts in Education and Transformation. This is not all he's written. These are just two that I have in this shelf. There's more over there, but make sure you get yourself a copy of the two, right? With that being said,
revolution.org, not Amazon.
Yeah. Say that again, please.
Those are at readingrevolution.org. They're not on Amazon.
Readingrevolution.org, fam. So get yourself a copy. I know it's late, but I'm still going to ask you. Any closing thoughts?
I want to wish a happy Black Love Day to my wife of 31 years. And shout out to my alma mater, Clark Atlanta University, where I teach. For those that are interested in earning a master's or bachelor's degree, a master's or doctorate degree online, hit us up. We have online programs, students all over the country. All right.
Good stuff. Dr. Davis, go ahead.
Sure. Need to have a conversation. I'm going to go old school like Coach. Reach out to me, 908-755-0090, 908-755-0090, because I love us and our children and our people.
There you go. Yeah. There you go, Coach Powell.
If you want an opportunity to do something special in a mid-sized town like Lima, Ohio, reach out to me. I can get you hooked up with somebody who might be willing to make that dream happen for you. We need young, strong, and bold educators.
Love it. Love it. I appreciate that. You know, to the fam out there real quick, and then I'm going to close us out. Some of you are writing. You sent me friend requests. I see those posts every week. I want you to understand, I don't have room. I have to go into the friends list and delete people. And I don't know who actually pays attention to the post and doesn't comment. So I'm not good with deleting people because I don't see them. They may be seeing me without me seeing them. So what I do is I search for those accounts that are inactive. The problem is I'm having a hard time finding inactive accounts because you got to scroll like way. So if I don't accept the friend request, I'm not ignoring you. It's because it's 5,000. That's the limit they give you. But I got 61,000 followers, right? And we're talking Facebook. So just become a follower. Just hit the follow button. And you'll see everything I post, and I'll see what you post, right? That's how that works. So the follow, the friend, it's all the same stuff, right? So with that said, y'all, appreciate the fam for being here. Those of you who have been with us since 11 o'clock, I appreciate you even more. But I appreciate you finding it not robbery, whatever amount of time you were here to be here. And then for those who will see the video, because the bulk of our audience is the video, not the live, we appreciate you as well. Join me next week number 304 consecutively. I got three leaders, Bridget McNeil from out of Chicago, Adair Joseph from out of Jersey, and Tara Harris from out of Newport News, Virginia. I don't know what the topic will be yet. I'll figure that out later in the beginning of the week, and we'll have something, and we're going to have a powerful conversation about something. So join us for week number 304 next week at 11 o'clock. But before you do, 10 o'clock, Sean Hurt, Facebook Live, followed by Chike Houston and Tammy Taylor, Create and Educate at 10:30, then us at 11 o'clock, and then Sundays, PGP Podcast with my man, Principal Josh Tovar and Dr. Madi Moreno. That's at 6 o'clock Eastern time. So if you're watching an all-star game, just watch them at the same time, right? So make sure that you get yourself a copy, y'all, of the newest one. I'm not going to bore you with showing you all the other stuff. You know, if you go to Amazon, you'll see all the other books I've written, but make sure you get this one. What is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? This is important, right? And if you call yourself a leader, you got to be an instructional leader. You can't be a leader, but you're not leading instructionally. It's a contradiction, right? Make sure that you, those of you in Jersey, particularly, come on to Seton Hall University in South Orange on Monday, President's Day this week. We'll be there all day long with the Nurturing Greatness Summit. I'm co-hosting it. I'm not a speaker, but I'll grab that mic and say something. So just come on through. We're gonna have a great day. Those of you in Jersey, I'm the president-elect of the New Jersey Alliance of Black School Educators. Want you to be in our informational session. So if I haven't reached out to you or you and I haven't connected on this in any capacity, hit me with an inbox right now on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn. It doesn't matter. And I will send you the information so that you can be a part of our informational meeting on February 24th at 6:30. Make sure that you go to principalkafele.com and scroll down for the annual School Leadership Institute that I do. We'll be in Savannah this year. This will be the first time in Savannah for the Institute, July 9 and 10. We're talking leadership for 2 days. We're talking instructional leadership for 2 days. So I'd love to see you in Savannah, July 9 and 10. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Now we got it all. Subscribe to the AP and New Principals Academy YouTube channel. Be a part of that 24,800 something, 890. Maybe you took it to 900 today. I'll check in a few minutes. And then lastly, y'all, as always, your diet. Make sure you're eating right. Even someone like me who lives on the road often, it's hard, but I do the best I can. But your diet, your exercise, got to get it in, right? And your virus precautions, right? It's a lot out here, man. It's a lot, man. So just do whatever you got to do. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Just do whatever you got to do to keep yourself physically healthy. Other than that, y'all, appreciate you being here. Have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Y'all stay on. Have your best week yet. Peace. Flip it. Peace. Thumbs up. Cock that fist back. Count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Bam. I'll see y'all next Saturday at 11 o'clock.